Are we live? What do you reckon? Are we live?
I see the live on our side. Up there it is.
Let's
We're
see.
up.
What do people say in the stream?
Hello.
You know how
Can you
when you
hear
start a
us?
live stream, when you start a live stream, the first few minutes are always, "Are we live?"
Yep.
Oh, we are live. Well then, good. What time of day is it? Good evening, everyone. Bad Tempered Badger here, and I'm here today with. That's your bit.
Oh, I have a bit. The Crimson Fucker here. Hello, everyone.
Hello. So, great to see everyone turning up in the chat there. Now, I was just wondering. You're a psychopath, right?
Correct.
Now, how does that work?
Carefully, very carefully.
Carefully.
Well, a great example of it is I have an innate inability to understand the motivation of people, whether it be emotional or a physical motivation, such as you're sitting at a table in a restaurant and a waitress reaches for your teacup.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you would know she's going to clear that immediately, right?
It would make sense, yes. That would usually tend to follow.
The only way I know if she's going to clear that or take a drink of it is she actually clears it. I have to take outside contextual cues,
I
whereas
see.
you can empathetically understand the situation. If she's not in a waitress uniform, I don't know if she's going to drink my tea or walk away with it.
Interesting. So, is that something that you could, for sort of common situations, like, for example, a waitress coming in and clearing tables, is that something that you would sort of figure out over time, just kind of, oh, this is probably what's happening because of previous times it's happened?
Yes, yes. As a child, it was very confusing, and I always wondered why people were taking my stuff. But as I've grown older and I've come to understand that, waitresses and busboys aren't taking my stuff, they're clearing the table. So, repeated exposure to a stimuli I can then make an association with, but there's always the chance that I'll still get it wrong.
I see. So that my stammer seems to have decided to just have a field day today. I'm just right. I'm slightly flustered now. Everything's going to go wrong. So I'm assuming that with less common occurrences, that would be a much more of an issue. Like in a situation you're not familiar with, for example.
Oh yes. If I'm ever in a brand new situation, for me, the safest, most socially acceptable thing for me to do is to play the quiet, antisocial dork that just sort of stands there and watches.
Oh, I thought you were going to say shoot everyone.
Oh, well, no, that's the option I would prefer. Quite honestly, if somebody's talking and they annoy me, I mean, the easiest way to get them to shut up is to punch them in the throat. But
well, that does
apparently, yeah,
have that effect, yes.
yeah, but apparently that's not socially acceptable.
I have heard this. I'm a bit socially awkward myself because of various other brain things. So my general method for being in a group with new people is if I'm in a group setting and there's the whole group dynamic thing going on, I establish myself as that guy who goes over there and doesn't speak to anyone.
Yes, that's very, very good for setting up and establishing exactly how everything works. So with the new situation, the new people, I can try to observe triggers and things like that, but it's only the really overt responses that I can actually comprehend at first.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my sort of method is not because I can't necessarily predict what people are doing, although I do have body language issues. It's more because I really cannot stand the whole group dynamic thing that people do. So I establish myself as that person who doesn't talk to anyone, and then
Oh, yeah.
when I do talk to people, it's a pleasant surprise rather than being expected.
Yeah, I can relate to that one because a person is smart and enjoyable.
Mhm.
People are dumb, stupid, panicky, greedy animals.
Do I detect a little Men in Black in you there?
Small bit, small bit.
That's one
You
of my
find
favorite
truth where you
quotes.
find truth.
That's one of my favorite quotes from that film. Anyway, it's marvelous to talk to someone who has the actual maniacal cackle. You know.
That's not the first time I've heard it. I don't hear it myself when I laugh, but
Hmm.
hey, if it pleases you.
I have a tendency to giggle, depending on what the thing that is making me laugh is. There's a show called nope. What the name of the show is has gone, but there is a show called something, which is kind of like a fantasy, like a small town fantasy setting, and it features in it a character called Rumpelstiltskin, who has this kind of slightly maniacal, insane giggle, and I have been told that I giggle like Rumpelstiltskin.
Are you talking about Once Upon a Time?
I am talking about Once Upon a Time.
Yeah, okay.
I couldn't get the name back in my head. I haven't really
The
watched
first two
much of it.
seasons were good. The first two
Yeah.
seasons were good. After that, it just went downhill.
I haven't really watched much of it, but I have been told that I giggle like Rumpelstiltskin.
Yeah, I can see it.
I'm trying not to now. I'm feeling under pressure. Although some of my slightly more boisterous laugh sounds more like the sniper from Team Fortress 2.
I actually haven't played that game.
Well, you don't need to play the game to understand this character, the sniper. In fact, he might even be a psychopath. He's sort of. Now, I'm not a crazed gunman, Dad. I'm an assassin. What a difference being one's a job and the other's mental sickness.
It's a very valid point. One
Anyway,
requires a professional ethic.
now the whole psychopath thing. There's people. There's a lot of people that I've spoken to who tend to associate. I'm guessing this is a common thing. Tend to associate the word psychopath with the murdering psychopath.
Yeah, that's a very common association for normal people, but it's also a completely invalid association. For example, psychopathy is it's you can classify it as a birth defect. It's a malformation and misuse of the mirror neurons in the brain. We lack empathy. We are not inherently violent.
Mm-hmm.
About 1% of the human population is psychopathic. But if you look at the actual criminal statistics of known psychopaths, less than 1% of psychopaths are violent.
Mm-hmm.
Sociopaths, on the other hand, tend to be the violent ones. They were,
yeah, there's a lot of confusion going around between what the difference between a psychopath and a sociopath is.
Nature versus nurture. Psychopathy is nature. Sociopathy is nurture. Someone completely normal, normal empathetic responses, everything like that, can be driven to sociopathy through trauma, abuse, torture, things like that.
So that's a learned thing, or a thing that is developed later.
Yes.
Okay.
Usually as a result of great trauma or abuse. And it's not that a sociopath lacks empathy. They've just rewired their brain through some messed up survival mechanism.
So they're either deliberately or accidentally through experience suppressing the empathetic not response, empathetic sense.
Yes.
Okay. Now, I think probably the murdering psychopath thing is more to do with that's the only time people actually really hear about psychopaths, because they go, "Oh, psychopaths! This murderer is a psychopath. Oh, all murderers must be psychopaths," because that's the only time I hear the word psychopath.
Well, then they aren't paying a lot of attention, because look at any Fortune 500 company, and your CEO is probably a psychopath.
Interesting. Yep.
You look at there's also a group of companies. I forget exactly what they're called, but they go in and they do restructuring for other companies. So like slash half the workforce, yada yada yada.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly the people running those companies tend to be psychopathic.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The lack of the empathetic response allows them to do this cruel, for lack of a better word, job of saying you're fucking gone.
Mm-hmm.
As a general rule, I found most people get their education about psychopaths from shows like Dexter. Now, don't get me wrong, I like Dexter, but that is completely wrong.
Well, I think for the purpose, I can't even speak today. I think for the purposes of dramatization, kind of upping the drama factor is kind of important for shows like that. But it does create a bit of a misconception when that's the only sort of avenue that a lot of people have to hear about that kind of thing.
Yep.
Well, the murdering ones are kind of fun to talk about, though.
Oh, don't get me wrong; they are enjoyable. Of course, I find weird things enjoyable.
That's probably true. I probably do as well. Like I had great fun at 2 a.m. last night when I should have already been asleep, making this this video backdrop.
Hey, that backdrop is awesome. I love it. I want to grab that for like a wallpaper on my computer and my phone.
I can send it to you later if you want.
Please do.
I was there last night going, I should be asleep right now, but I really want to make this video backdrop because I was suddenly inspired as I was getting in bed to go that I want to make the thing right now.
I mean, it's awesome. I love it.
I am pretty pleased with it myself. Oh yeah, by the way, I've been watching that show you're in.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, I've been watching the Hellsing Ultimate.
Which episode are you on? Have I made it across the English Channel yet?
No, you're still floating on a busted-looking boat.
Oh.
I'm gonna be very upset if Walter gets killed while you're floating around out in the channel.
Walter?
No,
remember,
don't
Walter is the angel of death. Just remember that. He used to go hunt vampires with me back when the Nazis were running around. Trust me.
All right. Well, so we kind of first started talking through the whole online atheism business.
Yes.
Now, I understand from a lot of the threads that you seem to somehow drag me into on Twitter that's kind of a big thing for you.
Yes. You could say it's just a wee bit of a big thing. I mean, faith is a lie, and people pushing faith are pushing a lie, and due to my own very stringent moral requirements, they are being completely amoral while pushing that lie. So I am required to confront it.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm assuming that the very stringent moral requirements are something that you have put on yourself specifically because of the whole psychopath thing.
Yes. I had to construct my moral framework from the ground up, literally with no basis to start with because I lack the empathetic response. So I have a very strict moral outlook on things, and I used actually, one of the things that I used to really form my moral foundation was what was legal or illegal. So if something was legal, it was by default moral.
Mm-hmm.
Illegal, by default immoral. And I expanded out from there to include things like, lying, because lying is manipulation. I'm a psychopath. Psychopaths are predators. All of us
Mm-hmm.
are. We're all very manipulative. So I have to really have a very strong view on misinformation, lying, and misleading people.
Mm-hmm. I should mention, as a badger, I am technically a predatory animal, so there'll be no predation going on in here.
Agree, but badgers are just so damn cute. I couldn't eat a badger.
What else was I going to say about that one? Oh, that was it. Legal framework, you said, using kind of what is illegal, legal and illegal as a basis. I'm assuming it's kind of evolved past that basis a bit since that stage.
Yes.
Because it can, in many cases, be looked on that there are laws which are moral and immoral from an outside perspective.
Yes. As I said, the legal versus illegal being moral versus immoral was the simple foundation for it because I needed somewhere to start. So from there, it's moved on to branched out and included other philosophies to be added in and some taken away. Because, for example, in Saudi Arabia, it's perfectly legal to throw a gay man off a roof,
Mm-hmm.
but that is immoral to me.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, so is there a sort of a particular mechanism that you use to determine when something legal is not necessarily moral or vice versa?
When I have to do something like that, I tend to look at how much physical harm is caused by that particular thing. Like, say, let's say an action is legal. For extreme example, me taking your car without your permission.
Uh-huh.
We'll say that action is legal. Now, it doesn't directly cause you harm. Like, you're not going to bleed, you're not going to have bruises, but
Mm-hmm.
if I take your car just because it's legal, but you have to go 45 minutes away for work and suddenly you can't, you lose your job that day.
Mm-hmm.
Suddenly you can't pay your bills. This escalating cause chain of events has caused you great harm.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
There's also the harm caused by a thing that I am both reliant on and emotionally attached to suddenly being taken from me.
yep, very true. Although the emotional attachment means zero to me, but it
Yeah,
doesn't to
bloody
you.
psycho.
But it doesn't to you. So even though it would be legal for me to take your car, I won't because of
In
the
this
amount of
hypothetical
harm.
scenario, yeah.
Yeah, the amount of harm it would cause you. I wouldn't do it. So I have to look at things.
Oh, it's gone very silent in here. Have you vanished or have I vanished? Well, I think we may be having some technical difficulties. I will just move over to the chat for a second. Anybody got anything they want to say while we're just dealing with this sudden silence? Unless it's me that's gone silent, of course. I will ask in the chat. Oh, good. They can hear me. I'll assume that Mr. Psychopath is having some issues. So while we're waiting for him to come back, what's everybody doing today? I see we've got some fun people here. We've got Insector Cool. We got, I think I saw Nadine up there just now. Cheshire Vic. I'm not sure that I've really picked up on you in the chat much before, but nice to see you now. Although I haven't done a stream for absolutely ages. Yep, he's just dropped out, so I'm assuming he'll be back shortly. So how is everybody today? Everybody doing well? I'm doing all right, although, as I mentioned earlier, I kind of didn't sleep very much last night because I was busy making this video backdrop, which was good fun, although I accidentally pulled the power cord out of my laptop in the process and had to start midway through again because I hadn't saved it. Oh no, Mr. Mills Bubby is in fact an actual real-life psychopath, I'm told. I shall just poke him just to make sure he's coming back. Oh, I've lost the stream chat now. There we go. Well, what psychopath-related thing can I talk about? Well, on the whole manipulation thing, I suppose this would be more of a sociopath and psychopath thing, as we mentioned, developing the condition later. I once played a sociopathic character in a roleplay game a while ago. And in order to play that, I will relay this to Mr. Alucard shortly, assuming that he makes it back. In order to play that character, I tried to think of everything with no emotional component, thinking only of how the character would perceive the actions of others with the goal of trying to get the most benefit for himself from every interaction. I'm not sure if that's entirely an accurate portrayal of a psychopath or a sociopath. I'll ask him shortly. Let me just see if he's said anything. Nope, no news yet. Anybody got any questions they want to ask me while we're all just sitting here waiting for the vampire to come back? Did I start the video backdrop whilst extinguishing my last cigar? Possibly, but I have special bramble cigars because I'm a woodland creature, so they're less unhealthy than the tobacco-laden ones. While we're waiting for him, I'll do what do they call it? An AMA. Ask me things. This chat lag is killing me. Oh, what's my favorite insect? Well, moths are nice. They're kind of shy, a bit like me. But let me think. Yeah, I'll go with moths. I quite like moths. I'm not sure if I have a favorite one. Maybe one of those huge ones that bangs into windows and gives people heart attacks. Yes, Mr. Ageless, I would definitely like to stream with you sometime. We'll try and get that organized. Why is a badger my online persona? Because I'm a badger, clearly. But specifically because of the... I like how badgers look, and I also like the whole sort of grumpy underground creature image that it gives me. Just kind of coming out to say a few things and then going back underground grumbling. Let's see what else we got here. How many times should I beat Shorty for not keeping Eddie from peeing on the floor? Not knowing who or what either of those are, I'd recommend as little as necessary. How many yards have I destroyed with my burrowing? Quite a few, probably. Don't tend to burrow in yards particularly, but unless it's somebody I particularly don't like, although there's a couple of those. So I chose a badger because... I'll read it that way. So you chose a badger because you're just another one of us atheists that lives in our mum's basement and never comes out to see sunlight. Sort of. Well, not exactly, but I'm not a very social animal when it comes to meeting people. Need a way to contact me if you're trying to get. Is he back?
Hello.
He's back. What is going on here?
Yeah.
For a guy, I can't pronounce the name of the ageless. Say again. Hello.
Okay, there we go.
He's back.
Yeah, technical difficulties on my end. My router decided it was going to shut down.
Oh dear. Mine's been being a bit.
That's okay.
Mine's been a bit wonky lately, actually. I'm just going to put in the chat for... How do you pronounce this chap's name? Thingy the Ageless. How do you pronounce it? It's got an accent on the A. Is it Agaros the Ageless?
Agaros.
Agaros
would be my
the
guess.
Ageless. I'll go with that. So for Agaros the Ageless, here is an email address, which I'm sure you will enjoy. Oh, I spelled it wrong. Here is an email address that I'm sure you will enjoy that you can use to get in touch if you want to do a stream at some point. It is badger@cock.li.
I love that email address.
Strangely enough, it doesn't work so well for sending emails to people because it goes straight to their spam folders for some reason.
Maybe
I don't know why.
Maybe the cock in the name does it. And that's Khonshu.
Oh, it's the okay.
Yes, the little Moonlight Goblin that got himself banned off Twitter again. Again. I don't even know what he was doing that got him banned. He was just in a conversation with... Well, he was in a friendly conversation with Doom guy. With the Doom guy.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, I wouldn't worry too much about the router dropping out. We seem to have ended up with more viewers than we had before.
Oh, that's because I fell out.
No, they're all going to go away now. All right, so what were we talking about? I got no idea. I said something about Psychopath. Oh, I was let's move on to a thing that I mentioned while I was bumbling around, going, "What do I do?" The person I was talking to has vanished. Let's go with that. So,
right.
A little while ago, I was in a role play game. It's kind of like in a setting a little bit like Fallout, but it's round the table with dice. And I was playing what I think would technically be a sociopath because it's the lack of empathy, but brought on later rather than an innate
that
thing.
would be a sociopath.
Now, the way I envisaged this happening for this character was this character had a mental, a brain implant. He had some cyberware in his head.
Okay.
And the cyberware in his head malfunctioned, and part of that malfunction was that it would turn off his empathy. I know
is
that's
that really
probably
a malfunction, or is that?
I know that's probably not. No, it's probably a gross misinterpretation of how both the brain and technology interfacing with the brain might work. But I thought it would be fun.
Yeah.
So, what was I? Where was I going with this? Oh yeah. So, at intermittent times, this fault would pop up, and suddenly it would turn off his empathy. So I basically played it as a kind of Jekyll and Hyde situation.
Okay.
Where he would go from a fairly friendly, somewhat nervous and softly spoken character to a somewhat less friendly, manipulative dickhead character.
Okay, that seems perfectly normal.
My reasoning for that was that the traits for being this manipulative dickhead character were already in the guy's personality, but were mitigated by his empathy and sort of social awkwardness.
Okay.
So what do you make of that idea?
Actually, it seems fairly legitimate to me. I mean, other than cyberware in the brain and being able to turn on and off empathy, the whole concept that everyone is capable of this, it's just empathy mitigates it, seems perfectly legitimate and reasonable.
Now, someone asked what alignment. The alignment would change depending on whether the thing was malfunctioning or not. I would say it would go from possibly lawful neutral to chaotic evil.
Definitely sociopathy. That sounds like a fun character to play with.
Oh, how I introduced him to the campaign was he was a doctor. He was a trauma surgeon in a post-apocalyptic town.
Okay.
And he had to leave the town because his during a medical procedure, well, the implant started to malfunction because he accidentally electrocuted himself with a defibrillator. And then later on during a medical procedure, the head doctor of the hospital interrupted the medical procedure to tell him that he was doing it wrong, and he could tell he was doing it right, and that the other guy was going to kill the patient, so he killed the other guy.
Seems legitimate. I like it.
Mean, makes sense, doesn't it?
It does. It makes perfect sense.
So yeah, it was until things went wrong in that campaign for other reasons, quite a fun campaign.
You gotta love it when things go sideways.
Yeah, we had a slight falling out in the group, so we didn't get so far with the end of that campaign, but the start So, we were talking about the whole belief and non-belief thing, weren't
we? Yeah.
And you mentioned the spreading of faith in that which can't be proven being an immoral thing because it's a false thing that is being spread.
Correct. I mean, to put it in the not so poetic language, you can have your little sky daddy if you want. Just keep him to your damn self.
Now, what would you say to the idea that that's the T going the wrong way? What would you say to the idea that people who sincerely believe that thing are not acting in quite such an immoral way?
That's a bit of a quandary for me because anyone who truly, truly believes that crap,
Mm-hmm.
there has to be something wrong with them.
Having a giggle coming out.
There just absolutely has to be something wrong with them to truly believe that. Let's take Christianity, for example, because it's the one I'm most well versed in. I've read 13 different versions of the Bible, one of them from the 1600s
Mm-hmm.
that had the removed books, the Apocrypha, still in it. So it was an 88 Bible book. And we'll look at Yahweh. And we have the Old Testament where Yahweh had some balls, but he was a complete sociopath. I mean,
well, would he be a sociopath or a psychopath? Because presumably, if Yahweh is the Alpha and Omega always in existence, then it couldn't have been a developed trait.
All right. We'll give him psychopathy. But
I'm just being a dickhead here.
Yeah, I mean, we'll look at that, and we'll look at one of the first pivotal points in the whole transitioning from Old Testament and Judaism to New Testament Christianity for the Gentiles. We'll look at Lucifer, Satan. They're Satan.
Mm-hmm.
So God, Yahweh, a perfect being, incapable of making mistakes, creates angels. Angels have no free will. One angel, Lucifer, the light bringer, the prosecutor of God, before New Testament, Lucifer was the one that when you died, you stood before God, and Lucifer prosecuted your case to God to either get into heaven or go to purgatory.
Okay.
Well, suddenly now this angel without free will and no ability to do anything other than what he was made for is jealous of humans' free will and has enough free will to rebel against this perfect being that made him in such a way as he couldn't do this. So either their all-loving perfect God fucked up or designed
accidentally
this angel
sprinkled a bit of free will on there.
Yeah, or designed this angel in such a way as soon as he had humans running around, this angel who was the one prosecuting our case to God would rebel due to jealousy of humans having free will, thus creating hell and the need for hell.
Yeah, it doesn't really follow.
Yeah, it doesn't quite mesh up because also he was the one prosecuting our case to God in the Old Testament, but in the New Testament, as soon as humans are running around, there's a hell. The timelines don't quite match up.
It doesn't really follow where this hell came from. Although I suppose without the prosecutor, it's just throw everyone in the brig. I suppose, isn't it?
Basically, yeah.
Because this perfect divine entity couldn't predict that his prosecutor was going to run off, so he didn't have one spare.
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, it just pokes a few holes, and you got to look at it.
No,
and then
something I'd like to, assuming that any of these beings were to exist, something I'd like to ask the Lucifer is, how did he go from having like bird wings to having like bat wings?
And in one depiction, he has a face on his ass. I'm not even kidding. He's got a face on his ass. And the nose on that face looks like a dick.
Of course it fucking does.
I mean, I give him points for imagination, but it doesn't make a lot of sense.
No, I'm not a believer, as is probably obvious at this point. However, I do like a lot of the stories and pictures and art that comes from that Christian tradition.
They did make wonderful art.
It's got this whole wonderful kind of gothic theme to it, where everything is is really nice, but also really troubling if you actually sort of look at it in more than a glance.
Yeah. If you go beyond the, oh, that's a pretty color, into what the context of the picture is, it's like, well, he's happy, but they're being tortured. Why does that man not have a head? You know?
Right. Well, do you have any topics for discussion while I try to crank the cogs in my brain back up? Oh, one thing actually from the chat, Robert X just now says, if a vampire bites you, you live forever. If a badger bites you, you die and stay dead. So badgers are better, or at least more effective.
Hey now. Everyone I have eaten is now my little bitch, all right?
I see.
Although I'm still not going to mess with the badger. I mean, I've seen his cousin, the honey badger. That guy is crazy. And, but I don't want to piss the badger off.
I don't even need to do anything. I just say, I'll fucking call my cousin if you piss me off.
Yep, and it's over.
I will call my cousin the honey badger. He does not give a fuck. He will come around here and he'll fucking bite you in the knob. Anyway, so anything you wanna bring up while I crank my brain back
up? Nothing we probably want to discuss on a live stream.
Oh, I see. It's like that, is it?
Yeah.
Well, if you want to hang around right afterwards and discuss that thing, then I'm sure we can. All right. Well, how about this? I have a little question for you. Going with the whole vampire business.
Yes.
Your sort of counterpart from the other side of the conflict in Helsing does also seem to be floating around the Twitter.
Yes, the Y-boner is around.
What the hell is his deal?
He's the Y-boner. But in context to the show, he is literally Schrodinger's cat. That whole quantum experiment, you have a cat in a box with a radioactive isotope that may or may not break a vial. Is the cat alive or dead?
I know the one.
So, that is literally Schrodinger's cat as a little Y-boner Nazi, and it's magical and or self-cleaning.
He's kind of disturbing on the Twitter as well.
Oh yes. Best part is that's my roommate.
Ah, now that makes sense.
Yep.
Should get him to come on a stream at some point.
That could be enjoyable. Now my humor's dark. Don't get me wrong, my humor's dark, but his humor picks cotton. It's so dark.
Oh dear. Oh dear. Yeah, my humor is the kind of dark that you get from living in a burrow under the ground. If you know.
Oh, Snail's in the chat.
Snail is indeed in the chat.
I have just started looking at the chat.
Yeah, I'm kind of glancing back and forth at the moment. I have this amazing setup where I'm talking to you on a laptop, and the chat is on a different screen on my PC.
Oh, I'm talking to you on a laptop, and the chat is on my phone.
It's handy, isn't it, having different things?
It is. Although what I really want is a nice desktop setup with that whole 3-screen display.
Oh yeah,
that would be nice.
Yeah, I've just got the one screen on my PC. I literally cannot fit another screen in here.
Well, that's when you get one of those flat screen 55-inch LCD TVs that you just mount on the wall.
I don't have the wall space. I live underground.
You've got a ceiling. I'm sure we could find room.
Then I've got to lie on the floor. I was like to watch TV in bed. Anyway, so What else have we got to talk about? I was going to ask you about the murdering variety of the psychopaths. Do you, as a sort of an advocate of such things, not the murdering side, the psychopath side, do you have a favorite? This can be real or fictional.
We'll go with the fictional end because this is also one of the best depictions of an actual low-functioning psychopath in all of cinema. Have you seen the movie No Country for Old Men?
I haven't, but I've seen some clips of it. We're about the guy with the weird hairdo, aren't we?
He is a wonderful example of what a psychopath that is a low-functioning psychopath. They haven't set up the extensive moral requirements. They haven't done the whole, enlightened self-interest.
Yeah.
He is a wonderful example, and he actually hits many of the key markers quite well.
I shall have to get around to watching that film then.
It is a rather good movie.
It's been on my list for a while, but at the moment I'm barely managing to get the mental energy to watch Hellsing. So, and that's just a 45-minute episode.
Yep. And the beautiful part is, after you finish watching Hellsing Ultimate, you have to watch Hellsing Abridged.
Oh, I do plan to watch Hellsing Abridged. I've seen the first and possibly second episode of Hellsing Abridged, because when I tried to watch Hellsing before years ago, I watched the first and second episode, and that's as far as I got, because I suddenly a load of stuff happened in my life that I had to deal with.
Yeah.
So then I watched the first and second episode of Hellsing Abridged, and the only bit that's really stuck in my mind is just, "Hey kids, you want to see a dead body?"
Wow, these are French. We're really scraping the bottom of the barrel.
Right. Now, here's a question for you.
Yes.
Silence of the Lambs. Thoughts
good movie.
on Lecter?
It's a good movie. Horrible depiction of a psychopath. Hannibal Lecter is, in fact, though, one of my favorite villains. And there's an old RPG, tabletop RPG. They don't make the books for it anymore. Heroes Unlimited.
Okay.
Basically, where you can make, like, if you want to play an X-Men, you can make an X-Men. If you want to play a Silver Surfer, you can play that. You can make the heroes from Marvel and DC and play as them.
Oh, cool.
Well, there's a counterpart to that game called Villains, where you actually play the villain.
Yeah.
And I made Hannibal Lecter. And I made Hannibal Lecter, and it was
outstanding.
So, and you can eat a body. You can eat a human being. Just don't eat the brain. Don't eat the brain.
What is wrong with eating the brain?
It leads to, how cows will get mad cow disease?
Yes.
If you eat human brain, your brain does the same thing a cow's brain does when you feed a cow brains. So you, in essence, get mad cow disease.
Let me just, what if you cook it first?
Well, maybe then. I haven't done that much research on how to consume a human being.
All right.
But I got far enough to know, okay, I don't eat the brain and I'm good. I'm sorry. Right. Some people look tasty as shit.
Well, you see, the thing with me is, as a badger, I have, I eat what the fuck I like, because I'm a badger. We eat just about anything. Within reason, obviously. There's certain things that we don't eat, like French cuisine. But we'll eat most things. For example, badgers, we can eat just about anything ranging from fruits, nuts, berries, earthworms, hedgehogs, lizards, all sorts of stuff.
Hedgehogs look delicious.
They're a little spiny, but once you get around that, they're quite nice.
I mean, Snail's going to be really mad at me because I said that, but I'm sorry. I eat meat, animals are made of meat. If they look delicious, I want to eat them.
Here's the thing with hedgehogs, though. They are quite possibly in England becoming endangered.
Oh, that's not good.
Not mostly because we eat them, but probably a little bit because we eat them. But the problem is, badgers and hedgehogs have been coexisting for millennia. There's no reason that badgers would cause hedgehogs to go extinct by ourselves. The problem is that people keep building everywhere, and the hedgehogs
they're not
live.
Yeah, they're not doing those little hedgehog highways.
That's
the bottom of the fence.
That's a whole campaign that people are trying to get behind at the moment, to build the hedgehog highways, so that hedgehogs can actually get through built-up areas and not just get run over.
I mean, it's something that needs to be done because, I mean, even here in the States, we're finally getting on board with this whole conservation thing. It's taken us a while, a long ass time. But we're finally getting to the point where, like, a lot of our 4-lane highways that cut through, 250 miles of forest with nothing else, we're finally starting to build bridges over those for the wildlife so they don't just keep getting flattened.
Yeah, that is nice. As you may have seen if you're looking at my videos, I am a bit of a conservation guy. I don't claim to be an expert. I've done sort of an introductory course into ecology and conservation, and I do volunteer work. I'm not an ecological scientist or anything along those lines. However, I do know a little bit about the conservation.
I have noticed, and I've been meaning to ask, in your video about cats, is that actually your backyard or someone else's?
I couldn't possibly comment.
Okay.
I don't want to give too much away, you see.
But whoever's frog pond that was looked awesome.
I must say that it is my nature cam, though.
All right.
Coming up soon, you will see another nature cam video, which I believe you've seen the thumbnail for in our recent Twitter conversations.
Oh, yes, the noisy little assholes that shit on everything.
Yeah, birds.
I'm actually looking forward to that.
Yeah, there's not very much talking in that one. It's pretty much just birds.
Hey, birds are awesome. They are noisy little assholes that shit on everything, but they are awesome.
That is true. Both of those things are true. Also, a friend of mine gets oddly sentimental about birds. Whenever we're watching have you ever been on the website Watch Together?
No, I have not.
It's basically a service where you can put a YouTube link into it, and it will synchronize it between everyone who's on the same Watch Together page so that everyone's watching it together.
Oh, I like that. It makes it so much easier than just throwing up a Facebook group call and going like, all right, 3, 2, 1, start.
Yep. Well, that's what we used to do over Discord. We'd be there going, right, 3, 2, 1, engage. And then we'd be there and we'd be about
there's always like
3 sync.
Yeah.
But when we're watching the meme compilations and the Watch Together, what we'll find is whenever one of those little parakeets or parrots or pet birds comes on, we'll be there watching it, and he'll start getting oddly sentimental with me suddenly because there's a bird there.
The best thing about best thing about doing this on a laptop?
Yeah.
I can just pick you up and take you to the kitchen when I need another drink.
That is handy. I have an issue with that, which is the Wi-Fi doesn't quite reach the kitchen.
Oh, that's no good for you because I've now made it to my kitchen and I've decided to pour a rather delicious brew.
Wonderful.
From Creature Comforts. It's a Cokie Bunny. It's a milk porter.
Interesting. Well, you may know that as a former IT support person, I can tell you that Wi-Fi signals don't like kitchens.
Oh yeah, all the metal and everything.
Yeah, there's a lot of metal. There's a lot of electromagnetic interference.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm pretty sure the only reason my Wi-Fi signal works in here is my router is only about 4 feet away from my kitchen.
That would help. Yeah, mine is the other side of the other side of the place. It will reach if I'm the other side of the kitchen and outside the influence of the things in the kitchen that are interfering, but it just won't work in the kitchen.
Of course, I'm also that crazy guy that puts a booster on his router, so I can literally be 500 feet away from my house and still have my signal.
Outstanding. I should probably do one of those. Anyway, what else should we waffle on about?
Well, if we want to get a little political...
Oh dear. I think I know where you're going with this.
The whole investigation finished, and, people are still screaming that my orange golem is going to jail, but...
What's he going to jail for now?
They're still screaming that he, charges are going to be pressed, blah, blah, blah.
The Russian bit?
Yeah, they're still screaming about that. Never mind, the investigation was finished, and, no collusion was found, and it blows my mind that people are so eager to get my orange golem out of the office when that will put a young earth science-denying creationist as president. The lesser of two evils, people. The lesser of two evils.
Now, here's the thing with Tronald Dump. I'm not a fan. I don't like him particularly. I didn't dislike him before he tried to do the whole presidential thing. When he was just a silly TV business guy with glued on hair. At that point, I wasn't too bothered. But once he started doing the old political business, I was there going, oh, okay. The problem is, I find myself, as someone who values being honest and truthful, I find myself having to defend Tronald Dump against people on my side of the political spectrum who are saying things that are untrue.
Right? Don't you just love that? Now, I'm of the opinion politically that, you do all your mudslinging, which there shouldn't be so much mudslinging as there is, during the presidential race, during the whole election bit. That's when, you can go ahead and polarize and, camp one, camp two, whatever. But once you have someone legally elected, which he was legally elected, I hate to break it to people, it was legal. Support the presidency. You don't have to support the president, but support the presidency. I mean, that, and if he leaves, we get a young earth creationist. Please do not do that to me.
Yeah, that would be troubling.
And with how things are going now, I'm going to throw this out there, and I'm going to put myself on the line. Orange Golem's going to get elected on a second term just to spite people.
I think he probably will. I'm not happy about it, but I think he probably will.
And as brought up in the chat, Orange Golem's an anti-vaxxer and climate change denier, and she's right. Unfortunately, but with all the screaming, he's going to get reelected out of spite if he runs.
Here's a question for you. Do you reckon he's a psychopath?
Oh, most definitely.
I suspected.
Most definitely.
Because
all the key traits are there.
He's a manipulative guy, isn't he?
Yeah. At the very least, he is a narcissist, which is bad enough by itself. But every psychopath is also a narcissist. Add on top of the fact the profession he actually flourished in. Man is a psychopath. I have no doubts about it.
All right. I did suspect probably so. Now, here's a thing from the chat, which is the snail saying Drumpf is not lesser of two evils disagree. Now, I think... What are the two evils you're on about here? You're on about him and Pence, aren't you?
Yes.
Now, as a Brit, I'm not entirely up on American politics.
Well, Trump is an idiot. I'll throw that out there. He's an idiot, but he was the legally elected president, and other than a few blunders, which every president has, he has performed his function at least as well as every other mediocre president we have had. Not to say he's a good president, but he has done as well as every other mediocre president we have had.
No, I don't want to interrupt you too much there, but there's a funny thing going on in the chat here, which is Lucifer is informing an atheistic snail's journey that not all psychopaths are killers.
Now, that's interesting because she knows that, considering she's dating a psychopath.
I just thought I'd mention that because I thought you might.
I hope she knows we're not all killers, because that would make our relationship very awkward.
I just thought you might enjoy commenting on that.
Yeah. I'm now staring at the chat and wondering. I'm waiting for something to scroll, but everyone's gone silent.
Anyway, enough about Tronald Dump for a little while.
All right, we'll leave the orange golem alone.
And yeah, so I do just call him Mr. Dump because fuck that guy.
Still better than the Canadian Prime Minister. I'll throw that out there.
Oh dear, I don't want to get into him.
Oh, all right. So moving along.
Right. Are you aware of how we're doing over here at the moment? Here being the UK.
I have actually stopped paying attention since Article 13. So, oh, that laugh tells me there's something juicy.
Oh, well, let me tell you. You've seen Theresa May, haven't you, the current Prime Minister?
Yes. Bloody idiot.
You know Obama?
Yes.
Now, you know how long was Obama president?
2 terms, 8 years.
8 years. You know how he looked like he aged 20 years in that time?
Yes.
Theresa May looks like she's done that in the last few months.
Oh, my. Oh, my. Has her idiocy finally come back to get her?
Well, she's stuck in the middle of a rather unfortunate crossfire, which is the country was almost evenly divided between leaving the EU and staying in the EU, with a very slight majority at the time for leaving. So now she's stuck between two sides because she's trying to please everyone and is pleasing no one with a deal, which is essentially leaving the EU but not actually leaving the EU.
How does that work?
That's complicated, and I'm not a political expert.
I mean, you can please some of the people all of the time and all of the people some of the time, but you can't please all of the people all of the time.
Now, here's the thing with that. So she's getting it in the neck from both angles. She's getting it in the neck from people who want to stay in the EU, who are saying that no deal which involves leaving is acceptable, no form of leaving is acceptable. We can't possibly leave the EU. And she's also getting it in the neck from the people who want to leave, saying that she's a traitor to the British people by ignoring the democratic process and is trying to remain in everything but name.
Oh.
So she's not doing very well.
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting at here.
Here in the States, we have our own political problems, but I do not envy you with this shit going on.
I will tell you. I'll tell you something. You know the whole disaster prepping business.
Yes.
Suddenly, there's been a massive influx to the whole prepping community of Brexit survivalists.
Oh, joy. Oh, joy.
Like, my entire roleplay group has started collecting emergency Brexit stashes of food just in case the country's infrastructure breaks down.
Oh my God, it's going to happen and everything's going to collapse. I need 20 rolls of toilet paper and 6 cans of beans now.
Just in case they go down the shop and there's no mayonnaise.
Oh, Lord.
Actually, that would be pretty disastrous for me. If imports from Poland stopped, it would be a disaster for me because I only like Polish mayonnaise.
Of course, the hilarious thing is every 4 years, about a third of the country here does that for every presidential election. So, that's nothing new to me.
Case.
Yep. They're like, oh God, it's going to be World War III. The nukes are going to launch. We're going to die.
Oh dear.
Mm-hmm.
The only problem that I'm having, well, there's also the problem that being of the persuasion that I am politically,
mm-hmm.
a lot of my friends voted Remain.
Okay.
And I didn't.
Oh, you dirty, dirty little rebel.
So I suddenly find myself as someone who, for reasons entirely unrelated to the reasons put on the side of the buses about, anyone from any other country being terrible and we must get rid of them all. And for reasons entirely unrelated to that, I don't like being in the European Union.
I mean, never mind that it kind of damages your economy because you output more than other countries whose money is now worth just as much as yours.
Well, you see, the thing with the EU is I'm against centralization of authority.
Okay.
And the EU is an attempt to centralize authority. And it's kind of the idea, I think, is to rival the United States with kind of a United States of Europe. That's what a lot of people say the idea originally was.
That's a bad idea. Don't emulate us.
That's what I've been saying. But yeah, so that's that. I have all sorts of reasons why I do not support being in the EU. I don't think now was a good time to put the vote through, and I don't think anyone could say it's been handled well.
Oh no. We handled our last election better.
Yeah, pretty much. Where was I going with this? Oh yeah, so I found myself at the roleplay table rolling my dice with a group entirely consisting of Remain voters, and they're all having an amazing chat about how terribly everything's going, how we must support this petition to revoke Article 50, and everything's got to be, we've got to just try to save this relationship with the EU. And I'm sitting there just going, oh, please stop. Can we just go back to the role playing?
We need to get away from reality. Can we not focus on it?
I'd rather live in this roleplay world where everything is destroyed.
Yep. And something slightly related in the chat. I see Mark wanted you to ask me a question, so I'll just respond directly to Mark Caesar.
Let me just cut in on you there. Ask him about the US health system. Tell me about the US health system being the only Western country to not have universal health care.
Oh, do you have $1 million?
Not personally, no.
then you're gonna die.
That shit.
Yeah. Quite frankly, you can get some amazing healthcare in this country if you have the money.
Mhm.
That's the thing, you have to have the money. If you don't have the money, you're not going to get the healthcare. And we tried to fix it with the whole Obamacare thing,
Mhm.
except Obama didn't go far enough with it.
Yeah.
He half socialized the medical system.
Mhm.
And the only result of his bill was to cut full-time jobs across the board. We now
Oh,
have
whoops.
more part-time employees than full-time employees. But these part-time employees are still working full-time hours. So that gets you
Uh,
around the whole, if you're a full-time employee, you have to be given Medicare. You have to be given
uh,
health care.
I see. So
So,
they're classified as part-time, but then given full-time hours, presumably through overtime or something like that?
yep.
Okay.
The average work week went from 40 to 38 because at
Great.
38 hours, you're not full-time.
I see.
So, it was a good stab at giving universal health care, but it didn't go far enough. So it
Yes.
either needs to be pushed all the way
Mm-hmm.
or repealed and something new put in its place.
We've had a
Now, I'm
similar
not.
thing over here, not with healthcare, but with unemployment rates. Um, there's a whole thing going on where people are put into part-time jobs that can't really support them. So there's the same effective number of jobs, but they're split into lots of part-time ones instead of less full-time ones. So there's a load of people who can't actually afford to live, but are technically not unemployed.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
we
the
went through a
unemployment
bunch of
rates
that
look
too.
better.
But everyone's still poverty.
Oh
Yep.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. uh, you got to love political fixes. Does it work?
Yeah,
Probably not.
it's good stuff, isn't it? Oh
Oh,
dear. Anyway, on to something more cheerful. Let's move away from the entire topic for a minute. Let me ask you something. Favorite film?
my absolute favorite film, hands down.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, that's a hard one. I have favorite films in categories, but my absolute favorite, hands down.
Mm-hmm.
You know what?
Well,
I'm
if you
going
want
to
to go with it,
expose how much of a nerd I am with this one.
yeah,
And The Empire Strikes Back.
you motherfucker.
I will watch that movie all day, every day.
Because that's the one I put if I have to pick an absolute favorite.
You motherfucker.
I do have a range of favorite films. All right, let's go with a few favorites, shall we?
Alrighty. For fantasy, my favorite would be the Hobbit movie, the old one, the cartoon, the animated version, not the new one.
Oh, okay.
For sci-fi, it's Empire Strikes Back, hands down.
Mm-hmm.
Period. End of story.
Yeah.
For Christmas movies, it's Die Hard. Screw you, it's a Christmas movie. I don't care what anyone says.
Obviously, it happens at Christmas.
Yep, exactly. For futuristic views, I'm a real fan of Equilibrium.
That is the one with the whole tetragrammaton thing, isn't it?
Yep.
And Christian Bale doing the gun catters.
Yep.
Yeah, I know the one.
And the
I like
whole,
that one.
yeah. It's a good movie, and I can see that world functioning quite well because that world makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah, there's no emotions going on.
Right.
All right. Well, would you like me to go through a few favorite films?
Oh, please do.
Well, let's have a look. Empire Strikes Back, obviously, because it's the original Star Wars trilogy, but it's the darkest of them.
Yes.
And as well as being the darkest of them, it's on a snow planet for a large portion of it. I like that.
Oh, yes.
Now, Blade Runner. I'm not really
That's a
putting them in
good one.
categories. I'm just picking ones that I like.
That's a good one.
Now, I will mention there are very few recent films that get into anywhere near my favorites list.
Define recent.
Last 15 years.
Okay. I have a couple in there.
Because I don't like films with... There's two things that I dislike about recent films. One is the massive overuse of CGI.
Yep.
And the other is, in action films particularly, the scope is too broad.
Yeah.
What I mean by that is they are always saving the world, always invariably.
Yep. It's the world or nothing.
If they're saving the world in an action film, I do not care. If they're saving one guy in an action film, then I care.
Yeah. I can see how that would make a big difference.
Yeah. Mark Caesar's asking, new Blade Runner or the old Blade Runner? Strangely enough, both. I like the original Blade Runner, and I like Blade Runner 2049. That's one of the very few recent films that would get anywhere near my favorite films list.
I would have to agree on that. I would. The new Blade Runner, well done. They kept enough to the original to be true with it, and they kept the story going. Mm-hmm. The old Blade Runner is a classic, and everyone should watch it if you haven't. Yes. Unlike old Total Recall, new Total Recall.
The only thing about the other thing I would say about the new Blade Runner 2049 is it is the only example that comes to mind that I can point to where one of these 30 or 40 years later sequels that they're suddenly doing because it's popular and making money suddenly. It's the only one I can think of where they've actually done it right and done justice to the original.
Agreed. They did a wonderful job in the new Blade Runner. And yes, Madame Raven, you have to go see it. You have to see it.
Let's go to a few more favorite films. So, I do like a bit of Harry Potter.
Yeah. I'm gonna feel so dirty, but I'm a Potterhead.
I like a bit of Harry Potter, but I like more the first few than the later ones because they go a bit CGI heavy in the later ones.
They do. And
I haven't seen the new ones, the Fantastic Beasts or whatever, because too CGI.
The whole Percy Jackson and all that. Yeah.
I just had a massive brain fart. I just looked in the chat and went, "Oh, Crimson Fuckers in the chat." Oh, wait a minute. Hang on a sec. Who am I talking to?
All right. So between the two cult classics, Little Shop of Horrors, Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Now I'm going to be an absolute fucking prick and say I haven't seen either.
Oh, you little bastard. Everyone in the chat, yell at him. He needs to see these. I shall
put them on my list.
No, don't put them on your list. Go watch them.
All right. Now, let me just go through a few more favorite films here. Lord of the Rings, obviously.
Yeah, they're good.
I like those. Certain bits of them go a bit much, but I like them. The Hobbit ones, the new ones, not so much because they went to CGI. I like the Lord of the Rings because of the heavy use of practical effects.
Mm-hmm. I haven't even been able to watch the new Hobbit movies. I can't do it. I can't bring myself to do it.
Oh dear.
I mean, they've raped my childhood enough.
That's fair enough. Right, what else have we got on my list here? Okay, I like Pitch Black. I don't like Chronicles of Riddick.
Agreed. Pitch Black was a good movie. Chronicles of Riddick reached too far. Again, a lot of CGI in the Chronicles of Riddick.
Hmm.
While I like the Necromongers, it was too over the top.
Yeah, I'm not into the Necromongers, I gotta say. I'd like them if they were in an anime thing, like kind of
Oh
a
yes,
Helsing art style, for example.
oh yes. The Necromongers would be much better as an anime. But
I
the thing I like about them is that whole social imperative: you keep what you kill.
oh yeah,
It's very Viking-ish
it is.
because
Yeah.
if you look back in history and you look at the old Viking raiders, when they would kill the man of the house, they
Hmm.
would take the wife and children home with them, not as like sex slaves or whatever, but the wife and children were now their responsibility to care for. So
Yep.
the
Killed
wife
the
lived in the home; they were
killed him to
provided
look
for.
after the family.
Exactly. That's very respectable. I enjoy that. Although, don't leave orphans, kill the whole family.
Well, yeah, fair enough. Because then the orphans might come back and kill you.
Exactly.
Now, I agree with Madame Raven in the chat there, saying they didn't seem like the same universe. I agree. I
Oh
didn't
yeah.
think they fitted together very well. Pitch Black and Chronicles of Riddick. I thought
Yeah.
Pitch Black fitted in much more like it should be linking in with the Alien films.
Mm, yeah, I felt that too. It was a very good fit. I could see that going on in the Alien universe.
Yeah,
And yeah, the whole Chronicles thing seemed tacked on.
yeah,
They wanted to capitalize on the popularity of Pitch Black, and Vin Diesel at the time was the hot ticket.
yep.
So,
Here's the thing. A friend of mine very much enjoyed Chronicles of Riddick and liked Pitch Black, but not as much. Both of us like the sequel they did, just called Riddick,
that
but
one wasn't bad.
we liked it for entirely different reasons. I liked it because it essentially went back to being Pitch Black, just
Yep.
with a little bit more overdone CGI, which I wasn't too keen on, but they didn't overdo it too much. And he liked it because it had a bit that tied up the Necromonger thing.
Yeah. Personally, I liked it more because it felt more Pitch Black to me. And
Mm-hmm.
Pitch Black was a good movie. Chronicles of Riddick was meh. Meh.
Yeah,
Very
I'd
meh.
agree with that. There was a lot of meh going on in it.
Sort of like the new Mad Max movie. I mean, it was a good movie, don't get me wrong, but it was meh.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one.
It was meh. Don't go into it thinking it's Mad Max, but
Go into it thinking
it's
it's a film.
Mad Max esque. Yes.
Okay. Um, I do like a bit of Tarantino.
Yep. Yep.
Big fan of
He's a
Kill
guilty
Bill and
pleasure
Pulp
of mine.
Fiction, particularly.
Pulp Fiction was an awesome movie. Kill Bill felt a little overdrawn to me, like they could have got it done in two movies.
Well, I like Kill Bill because, well, I like the aesthetic of the mix of the whole Japanese and
Yeah,
Western themes, and I
yeah,
also like the almost entirely practical effects.
yeah. The effects were very nice.
Mm.
And I have to point out, I'm contractually obligated to like Kill Bill because a friend of mine thinks Uma Thurman is just a horrible human being. So.
Oh, what's wrong with
I
Uma Thurman?
have no idea. He just despises her as a human being.
Okay. Whatever.
So I'm contractually obligated to like it.
All right. He's done his most recent film though. I haven't seen, and I don't know quite how it just kind of slipped me by. It just went, Tarantino is making a new film, and then a little while later, Tarantino made this film a while ago, and I went, wait, when did it come out?
I've been like that with many movies recently. I don't know why. I'm just missing them.
Atheistic Now says, wasn't Kill Bill 2 movies? I'm pretty sure it was 2 movies, wasn't it?
Wasn't it 3? I
I
thought it was
thought,
3.
no, I think it's 2. Unless I'm
Well, then
missing
it probably could have
film.
been done in 1, or it felt like 3 to me.
uh,
I might view it
says,
as oh wait, no, she's right. Kill Bill Volumes 1 and 2. It was
yeah,
only 2 movies. I
yeah,
just
fair
have
enough.
I have the Matrix problem with it because the Matrix felt like 5 movies to me.
Well, if you count the Animatrix.
Now the Animatrix was good. The first Matrix was good. Keanu Reeves was perfect in the first Matrix because he just has that perpetually confused what's going on look.
He's got that. Whoa.
Yeah, whoa. And that's it. That's all he needs. He needs to stop there. Other than in John Wick, he did very well.
Oh yes,
But
I very much like John Wick.
I mean, Matrix 2 was just a long movie screaming choice or destiny.
Mm-hmm.
And Matrix 3 just seemed like a confused hodgepodge of we don't know what's going on, and this man is now Jesus.
I enjoyed the second two. I agree they don't quite fit with the first one, although yeah, I can get my head around it.
Yeah.
Normally, I would say with something like The Matrix, Reloaded and Revolutions, massive overuse of CGI and all that business. However, it kind of works for me because they're set in a virtual world.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, taken by themselves, they are good movies. I still want my $9.50 back that I spent to go see the second Matrix movie in a theater. I mean, but Tweedledee and Tweedledum, those were awesome.
I particularly enjoy the Merovingian.
Yeah.
He's just perfect, He's perfect in every way.
I have to agree with you there.
Right. Now, John Wick. I am very keen on John Wick.
That is a man that cannot handle change.
I like John Wick a lot. And
I did too.
Partly why. But I'll tell you my absolute favorite line from John Wick. It's just the phone call between the Russian mob boss and the car mechanic. Just
oh yeah.
I understand you struck my son. Yes, that's right, sir. I did.
And now I'm gonna kill him.
So, yes, why? He goes, well, sir, he blew up John Wick's house and killed his dog. Just
don't forget he stole his car too.
And stole his car, and then just and hangs up.
Yep. He's like, well, my son's dead. How do I fix this?
That's it. He's fucking done for.
I mean, that is a man. His wife died of cancer, and he took that in stride. And he got a puppy, and he was okay, and he was retired. Yep. And then this little Russian douchebag steals his car.
Yep.
And he's a little annoyed over that, but he's going to let that go. And then the stupid motherfucker kicks his little puppy to death and shits on.
Yeah, and I also confused the two films. It's the second one where his house blows up. Anyway. It's because I watched them quite close together. Here's the thing. There's two films, one of which I've seen and one of which I haven't, which is Dread and The Raid.
I've seen Dread. I have not seen The Raid.
And that's not Stallone Dread. That's the
new one with the slow-mo.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing with that. The trailers for those two films were very similar. And I got the trailers confused. So I somehow thought that The Raid and Dread were the same film.
Okay.
Because they're both sort of gritty action films taking place in a tall apartment building.
Yep.
So
I know exactly what you're talking about because I can't even remember the Raid trailers. I can't
remember which bit happens in which trailer.
I know exactly what you're talking about because I remember I've seen Raid trailers, but I never saw the movie, and I can't remember the Raid trailer. But I have this whole big Dread trailer in my head, and I know part of it's Raid.
Yep.
Oh, and someone in the chat just pointed out that the new RoboCop is just
Oh, that film can go fuck itself. That film
unpopular
can take
opinion.
itself and dunk its head in a bucket of water until it
Unpopular opinion.
becomes part of the
I
water.
liked it.
Get out.
Of course, I didn't look at it as RoboCop and Murphy and that story. I just looked at it as this is my new robot action film.
Yeah, fair enough. I looked at it as, oh look, more CGI.
Yeah.
And
I
don't even start about my little badger guy being a CGI character.
I was going to leave Obvious Comeback alone because Obvious Comeback is obvious. I'm just going to point out that, CGI has gotten a lot better. It still has a lot more to go, but they have gotten better.
I don't get how it looked so much better in Jurassic Park than in Jurassic World. Well, I kind of do get it, but I think
I can't figure that out either.
I kind of do have a theory on why that is, but I still think it's very disappointing.
Probably because in Jurassic Park they only had 5 dinosaurs they ended up CGIing.
Well, as well as that, most of the time the CGI is hidden or used for background shots and things where there
in
are
Jurassic World it's like 90% of the film was shot on green screen.
Everything's CGI. Is there a difference between the Star Wars original trilogy and the Star Wars prequels?
We don't speak of those.
Oh no!
No. We do not speak of those.
And there are two things that I will speak of the prequels positively on, and this is them. One is all of the spin-off books.
Okay.
For example, the Star Wars Republic Commando series.
Yes.
Read the Star Wars Republic Commando series if you haven't, and if you have, read it again. I've recently finished reading it again for like the 15th time.
I need to get
the other
those.
thing is prequel memes.
Oh, the prequel memes were delicious.
Oh no, there's 3 things. Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan.
True.
That was the best casting decision possibly in Star Wars.
True, but now that you've opened up the prequels, we have to talk about the sequels.
No, we don't. They don't exist.
No, we have to. We have to. We have to bring up this fact. And has anyone else noticed that, the first of the sequels, you can boil the story down to an interracial couple being chased by a white man with a burning cross?
Yeah, technically you can.
Yeah,
that is true. The other thing with it is that they don't exist, as far as I'm concerned. Well, no, they exist, but they're not Star Wars.
I mean, I
am a big proponent of Legends is the only true Star Wars.
I mean, we've opened this can of worms, and I have to go into it because, I have my friend who's really big into anime, and I've always made fun of his Gundam anime because they have homing lasers that change directions. And, Star Wars was at least true with it goes in a straight line. Screw you, straight line.
Apart from the obvious deflection by lightsaber.
And then they bring up this whole new, we're rebuilding the Death Star for the 25th billionth time. Except this time it's a planet, and it sucks up a sun to fire, but they've already fired it once, but there's still another sun. So they sucked up They sucked up the sun there. How did they get a new one there? I mean, I know Tatooine towing is awesome, but can they really haul a star around? And then the lasers change directions. Never mind that they would have just flash boiled the entire fucking planet. Oh God, it hurts.
Well, it's not just it's right. Here's the thing. I am what is now called Legends is the only true Star Wars proponent. I am anything that contradicts what my preferred continuity from Legends, I will not accept as being part of Star Wars.
Agreed.
For that reason, I can't accept certain episodes of the Clone Wars even.
You know,
Because they
I
contradict
watched.
the Republic Commando novels.
Yeah, I watched the Clone Wars, and I had to throw the whole fucking thing out. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
no, you're all gone. You're all gone.
I
I
wonder
had to
why
throw
that
the
is.
prequels out. I had to throw the prequels out. I mean, they did some good casting decisions. You know, some of the movies are enjoyable. I mean, for our sins, we got Jar Jar Binks, and we deserved that, apparently. But,
Well, judging by the new ones, yeah.
I mean, I have to throw it all out. For me, the only real Star Wars is the first three and the original novels. Everything else is bullocks.
Well, I'm fine with the prequels if you. Have you seen the what's it called? I think it's called the Machete Order,
No,
where you
no, I haven't.
watch. It's an order for watching the originals and the prequels. In you ignore the Phantom Menace.
Okay.
You watch original Star Wars, New Hope, and then you watch Empire Strikes Back. Then you watch parts of Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. You cut out
Okay.
you cut out all the fucking awful dialogue. You watch parts of those to get the theme of how Anakin fell to the dark side and became Darth Vader. Then you go
Okay.
into Return of the Jedi with a lot more tension because you see how Anakin Skywalker fell to the dark side, and then you see Luke turning up at Jabba's palace in a black outfit and using the Force to choke the guards.
Okay.
And you think, oh shit. There's Luke fucking darksiding around here. And then you watch the whole redemption arc with both Luke redeeming Vader and all the blah, 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 blah. And, that can add to the originals in a way if you take just the parts of the prequels that tell that story and cut out the shit.
So kind of like Star Wars: The Wrath of Khan for goats.
Yeah, sort of.
Okay. All right. I'm down for that.
And that's why that's one of the reasons I can handle the prequels existing. The other one is because they enabled things like the Republic Commando series to be written.
All right. Now,
Read the
I
Republic
hate to
Commando
say,
series.
but I got to step away for a minute. I will be back in just under 2 minutes.
All right. Well, while you do that, I will advertise the Republic Commando series to the chat.
Do so.
Let me tell you a little about the Republic Commando series and why you should read them immediately. The series focuses on a squad of Republic Commandos, featuring 4 characters called Darman, Phi, Atin, and Niner. They are clone commandos in the Grand Army of the Republic. I'm not entirely sure I'm pronouncing at least 2 of their names correctly because I've only ever seen them written. Now, they are a squad made up of clone commandos who lost the entirety of their original squad. All 4 of them lost the other 3 members of their original squads. The first book focuses on, from their perspective, how they go from being these traumatized children, effectively, because they are accelerated. I can't speak now. The aging of the clones is accelerated by the Kaminoans, so they are about 10 years old when the Battle of Geonosis happens. So they go from, the first book focuses on how they go from being traumatized children who've lost the only people in the world that matter to them to an effective fighting squad, and also focuses on a young Jedi Padawan who goes from being an underconfident, ineffective Padawan who can barely muster the ability to use the Force to a competent Jedi in the first book. The rest of the books focus on taking those characters and seeing how they interact with other characters and how they interact with the world outside the Grand Army of the Republic. Because the clones only know first Camino and then war. They don't know anything about life outside of war. So the books focus on how that affects them mentally and how they learn to cope with it. And it's a very good series. You should read it.
And I have returned.
Outstanding. I timed it perfectly.
You gotta love that.
Go back and watch that bit, by the way, so you can hear me advertise why you should read those books.
All right, I definitely will.
But yeah, they're very good books. Unfortunately, I apologize in advance to anyone who reads the series. There was supposed to be another book. So
they didn't finish.
At the end of the book, at the end of the last book, thinking, fuck, what's gonna happen?
Oh, they didn't finish.
And I tell you why they didn't finish. Fucking Clone Wars happened.
No, it didn't. That never happened.
That's true. But the series didn't finish because they decided to rewrite how Mandalore worked in order to entirely not fit.
But you can't do that.
Exactly.
Oh, God. Why do they fuck with continuity? Leave my continuity alone. Stop raping my childhood.
Let me... Oh, fuck's sake, I can't type. Let me read something to you. Now, are you aware of Mandoa, or otherwise known as the Mandalorian language?
Yes.
Now, that was entirely invented by Karen Travis, the author of the Republic Commando series.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the phrase that I keep bringing up, and I've posted it on Twitter several times in response to things from Disney and so on about this new series called The Mandalorian. I posted it several times saying this series could be the thing that brings people back to Star Wars, or it could be the thing that absolutely fucking kills it, depending on whether you fuck up Mandalorians anymore.
Yeah, are they fucking up the Mandalorian Knights? Are they taking the Mandalorian Knights completely out?
I don't even know what they're doing, but we'll find out when the series comes out.
If they fuck with my Knights, I'm done.
Immediately after that, I say, Qui nu jerkadir shamandoade. Don't mess with Mandalorians.
Damn straight. Leave them alone. They're perfect. They are perfect. Just use them as they are. I mean, come on.
What you have to do is preserve the Mandalorian culture as it already is in the Republic Commando books and the Old Republic things,
and
bring that into a new series. And it's great.
Yeah. I mean, don't do what Star Trek does. Don't stop doing what Star Trek does. Now, I like Star Trek, but they change. Like, for example, the Klingons. Leave them the fuck alone. Why did they go from Portuguese and gold lame to heavy metal rockers with lobsters on their head to whatever the fuck they were in Discovery? I don't know what that was.
I call them shovel-faced Urukai.
Yeah. I mean, why? Just.
I'm fine with the Next Generation and onwards incarnation of the Klingons. That's fine for me. Yes. I came into Star Trek at that time. So, I wasn't an original series purist. I came into Star Trek after. But I cannot handle... basically, a friend of mine keeps trying to tell me that Discovery is doing good stuff and it's interesting and I should have a look. Then I looked at one picture of the Klingons in Discovery and went, I'm never watching this show. Because those are not fucking Klingons.
Yes, save yourself. Because here, let me boil it down to you. Universal Fungal Network for magic poofing.
Oh, that's that thing with the tardigrades, isn't it?
Uh-huh. They're using giant water bears.
Wasn't that ripped
Yeah.
off from a webcomic?
Yep. They have a giant water bear in a tank to magically poof around on a universally wide fungal network that somehow reaches through space and time and dimension.
Oh, great.
And yeah. I mean,
If you don't mind,
some of the lore in it is interesting
mhm,
because that Klingon ship, Ship of the Dead,
yeah,
it's an old lost house. I mean, if you take what they have as Klingons out and put real Klingons in, and then get rid of the giant water bear poofing you around on a
mhm.
fungal network that doesn't exist, the lore is good. The show is shit.
Well, Pure Extension in the chat says badger, 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 mushroom network.
Yep. Yep.
Now, if you wouldn't
Oh
mind
yes.
just talking for a minute while I nip to the facilities, so
All
I
right.
tell
I
everyone
can
how
go ahead.
awful the fungus is.
Yeah. Oh my
Be
god.
right back.
No. I'm a fan of Star Trek. I came into it as a little kid with my grandparents watching Next Generation. You know, it was our weekly thing, come over to grandma's, sit down with granddad, get a Coke. As a little kid, I get a Coke, that's a treat. Have my ice cream, watch Star Trek. It's great. They introduced me to the first Star Trek with, Captain Kirk and his double fist punch. Don't fuck with Kirk. That was great. So, I see a new Star Trek out, and first they raped me on Enterprise. All right. Enterprise was okay up until the Vulcans started doing space crack. All right. When a Vulcan is doing space crack, there's a problem. And then Discovery. I wanted to like it so bad because it was Star Trek. I like Star Trek. I wanted to like it so bad. But no, it's a fungal network with giant water bears. What the hell? Uh. Oh, yeah, it hurt. Hi, Princess. I see you in the chat now. Hello. No, Raven, I actually finished Deep Space Nine. I did. And despite the whole our commander is now a religious figure thing, I was able to look past that and, all the correlations between early American settlers and Native Americans, that whole story they were spouting there. Overall, DS9 was okay, especially compared to Enterprise and Discovery. I mean, ooh. Yeah, DS9 was okay.
Speaking of Discovery, I've just discovered that one of my earphones has stopped working.
Oh, that's not good.
I put it in my ear and was like, why can't I hear him?
Strangely enough, during this conversation, I've discovered one of mine isn't working. So I tied that one in a knot so I don't put it in my ear.
Yeah, I'm going to have to start plugging in my other set of earphones, I think.
I'm going to have to find my other headset.
I've got a reasonable headset over there, but I like to just have one ear in when I'm doing the stream so that I can hear you and I can turn my head to look at other things.
Yeah, I can see that.
So that I can type
and then you plug in the wrong earphone, and suddenly it's like
silence. But I could hear you talking somewhere, and then I realized it was the other earphone dangling around.
And something pure just popped in the chat. It's worse when your ear stops working. I can identify with that one because I'm slightly over half deaf.
Slightly over half, eh?
Slightly over half. Overall, it's 51% total hearing loss. So just slightly over half deaf.
So is that focused more on one side than the other, or is it just bleh?
Well, it's 45% in one ear and 56% in another ear.
Ah. So do you have to have doolies in your ears?
I should have hearing aids, but the ones I need are surgically implanted, which
Ah.
cost $15,000, and we don't have a good medical system here.
Oh, it's funny that.
So I don't have $15,000 for the hearing aids plus the $23,000 for the surgery.
Oh. You
Yeah,
should
the hearing aid is 15,000.
You should try the NHS. It's good stuff having an NHS. As long as
I
you
tell
don't
you,
mind like a 2-year waiting period to get something like that.
I've waited over 20 so far. 2 more years won't hurt. I've seriously considered moving to Canada because their health system is much better.
Yep. I have heard such things said about Canada. All right, what were we talking about? Discovery is awful because the Klingons are wrong and there's a fungal network.
Yep. I mean, the lore's good. Focus on the lore. Like, find a lore breakdown, and the Ship of the Dead, very, very fascinating, and it fits with Klingon mentality and lore quite well. Never mind that the Klingons look like shit. Those aren't Klingons. I don't know what the fuck those are. And Mushroom Network, magic mushrooms. Oh god, giant
I
water
watched
bears.
I don't know what the guy's called, I forgot. But the kind of Klingon lead guy did a speech at the start. I think
Yeah.
episode did a big speech and the camera spiraling around his head.
Yeah.
That was a mistake. And it was a mistake on many levels. It was a mistake because with all the prosthetics on, he can't speak Klingon properly.
No, he can't. I don't know what the hell he was speaking, but
it was a mistake because where the fuck's his hair? It was a mistake because
he looked like a mix between a cone head that stuck its face in a blender. That is not a Klingon.
It was a mistake because they just look wrong, and also, even if you can accept that that is what they look like, which I can't and nobody should, but even if you can get past that, it was a mistake to spiral the camera out from his eye like that because you could see every seam in that prosthetic.
Yep.
I was looking at it going, oh, that's where it joins around his eye. Yeah, that's actual skin painted, and that's attached. It's probably silicone.
That's latex. Yeah. I know what they were trying to do in that scene, and I'll give them props for what they were trying to do. They're trying to like establish their own Klingon because apparently since they started originally as Puerto Ricans and gold lame to heavy metal rockers from the dead.
Yeah.
But in the original Star Trek, they were Puerto Ricans and gold lame because that was a low budget production.
Yeah, budgetary
they didn't have them. They didn't have the money for big costumes and prosthetics.
Now, I do appreciate that they did try to explain why those were different looking Klingons. However, I think it would have been better if they didn't.
Yeah, if they would have just left it alone.
If they'd just gone, budget requirements, so fuck it. This is what they're supposed to look like. We couldn't do it originally.
But I did appreciate that episode of DS9 where they went back in time and we're back on the Trouble with Tribbles episode.
Yeah, I enjoyed that.
Because if you have never seen, to the chat, if you have never seen the original Star Trek, Trouble with Tribbles, go watch it. Just go watch it. Don't question it. Just accept it and enjoy it.
I really like Kirk in that episode.
Oh, yeah.
Now,
it was great.
I have issues with the original series. If you talk to my mother, she has a lot more issues because of well, you know.
Well, Kirk was a space pimp, and he only had 4 moves. Punch, kick, double fist punch up, double fist punch down.
Yeah. Now, the thing with it is, it's, even though it was, quite ahead of its time in this regard, the ladies of the show had still not portrayed that well.
No, they weren't. No, they weren't. But at least they had them and they portrayed them.
That's true.
I will give the original Star Trek credit where it is due. When it came out, there were certain things that just were not done.
Mm-hmm.
You did not have in a TV show a powerful female character, but they gave us Uhura. And while
Mm-hmm.
her job was literally just repeating what the fucking computer said, she was pivotal
She
in
was a
many, many
figure.
episodes.
She was a figure of authority on the Enterprise.
She was. She was. And Star Trek also nailed one of the first televised interracial kisses.
Mm-hmm.
They would have been the first had that episode not been delayed. Now, that
Had it,
episode was delayed because of the interracial kiss between Kirk and Uhura.
mm-hmm.
Now, they would have been the first. They also tackled a lot of topics, such as I forget the name of the episode, but it was when the Enterprise came and had to negotiate between a civil war between this alien race where half the species is black on the left side and white on the right side, and the other half is black on the right side and white on the left side.
Oh,
I mean, they're the same, they're just mirror opposites. So, they tackled racism in that one. They tackled sexism in several episodes. So, I give them credit
mm-hmm.
where credit is due.
Yeah, and that tradition was continued with much greater effect in the Next Generation,
Very true. It was.
and then even more so in Voyager with Captain Janeway.
I have my issues with Voyager, but overall, Voyager was an enjoyable series.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna tell you this. Voyager is probably my favorite, and I'll tell you why. There are issues, like for example, they fire far more photon torpedoes than they have.
Exactly. Where did they get the new torpedoes?
Yeah. Oh no, we're stuck in the Delta Quadrant with exactly 32 torpedoes, or however many it was.
And they
And then they
fired
get to the end, they fired something like 60 or something like that.
67 torpedoes, and they had 33.
Yeah, there we go. So there's that. There's a few other issues. There's the old, bounce the tachyon particle beam off the main deflector dish.
Hey, when you got to bullshit your way out of something, bounce something off a deflector dish.
Yep. But Voyager really was my first Star Trek. I'd seen a bit of the Next Generation before that, but I hadn't quite engaged with it fully. And then Voyager appeared, and I was watching it from the start. So there was that. Oh look, there's all these characters that I've known from the first episode.
Yeah. I mean, I enjoy my Star Trek. I was late coming into the Next Generation, but DS9, I was from episode 1 to done. Voyager, episode 1 to done. Enterprise, 1 to done. Even though the Vulcan addicted to space crack was a real problem for me, I 1 to done it. I did.
Here's the thing with, if you'll excuse me virtue signaling slightly, here's the thing with Voyager in the first episode, when they're going back and forth about how to refer to the female captain. I was watching that episode going, why are they fucking doing this? Why are they going doing this whole thing about how to refer to the captain? Just call the captain Captain and get on with it. Get on with the rest of the fucking episode. Why is this an issue?
I mean, we're so far in the continuity of Star Trek that this is not a problem in the continuity of Star Trek. But why is it now suddenly a problem?
Yeah, but now looking back on it, I could see why at the time it was made that did kind of need mentioning.
They kind of botched it a little bit, especially since now the actress they got to do Janeway, she did a wonderful job, but she was third choice. She was third choice. The original pilot they shot, which was never released on TV, but you can still get, had a completely different woman who I feel would have been a much better fit for that role.
Interesting. I shall have to have a look at this. I think I know who you mean. I think I may have seen at least clips of it, but I can't really get it in my head right now.
Now, all props to it. They did a wonderful job with what they were trying to do. I
Mhm.
feel they botched a few things. And while I really appreciated the Seven of Nine character, we all know she was added strictly because we're going to put this really hot woman in a jumpsuit.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, I
Although,
appreciated the character because I
Mhm.
enjoyed the jumpsuit. Not going to lie.
I enjoyed both the jumpsuit and the character.
Yes.
I enjoyed the jumpsuit visually, and I enjoyed the character in terms of character traits and emotional content and so on.
And Spooky Bedhair in the chat. No, they couldn't use the replicators to get more torpedoes because it was all on rations. Kim,
Yeah, as well as it being on
Officer Kim
rations,
had to save up 2 months worth of rations to get a flute. No torpedoes.
as well as that, they did. I'm pretty sure they specified a reason that they couldn't replicate torpedoes, and I think there was something in them that they couldn't replicate, but I
Right.
can't
They
remember what
didn't
that was
have
now.
they didn't have an industrial replicator on the ship. That's the
Mm.
only way you'd be able to replicate the torpedoes.
And I did really appreciate the whole rationing thing, because that's one of the reasons that Voyager is quite possibly my favorite, is because they are cut off from the Federation. So they're trying to maintain the Federation ideals and principles in an entirely hostile environment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas
For that
Next
part of the
Generation,
story, yeah.
Next Generation, they are the flagship of the Federation, floating around in Federation space mostly, not
Doing
far from
yeah.
backup at any given time.
Yeah. And Voyager overall enjoyable, although there was a lot of continuity errors. A
Yeah, it's a
lot.
few days. Yeah.
It hurt my brain because they're on replicator rations, but they can run this holodeck for what was it, 6 months straight as they were going through the void, and Janeway falls in love with a holodeck character.
Well, I think the holodeck would take considerably less resources than the replicator, because it's light and force fields rather than actually making physical stuff.
But if you dive as deep into the canon of Star Trek as I have, running the holodeck for 4 hours is equivalent to replicating about 4 tons of things.
Okay. Maybe it's just they've got to ration the replicator because the replicator's shit.
I mean, overall, I did enjoy Voyager. I have my problems with it. It's
I
one
like
of my
Voyager.
guilty pleasures. It
Mhm.
is.
The other thing is,
Janeway is a good captain. I liked her.
Mhm.
Tom Paris was an excellent character.
I like a bit of Tom
Chakotay could have
Paris.
been better.
Oh, don't tell a friend of mine that.
Oh, Torres could have been better. They could have done much more with the B'Elanna Torres character than they did.
They could have done more, but I think they did reasonably well in what they did do.
Yeah, agreed. And the whole Seven of Nine arc with the Borg children, I really enjoyed that one.
Oh yeah, I did as well. There's a few bits that went a bit funny for me, which I probably can't really get into now because I'd have to stop and look a load of stuff up, because I don't remember things as well as I would like to actually talk about them. And also, there's definitely not a lack of continuity errors in the other series. For
Oh
example,
no, yeah.
how many decks does the Enterprise have?
Depends on which episode you're
Yeah.
in.
Like going somewhere around the Enterprise, there are 32 decks. Then we have a hull breach on deck 49.
Don't forget when they went to deck 36, but that deck's not there. I mean, yeah, slight details. Who cares? It was good for the writing. But now that we're into this whole space show nerd thing, and they're starting to peg us for real Star Trek nerds,
Oh dear.
let's switch gears a little bit. And have you watched Battlestar Galactica?
I haven't watched Battlestar Galactica. I've watched a
Oh,
few episodes. No, I haven't. I've watched the opening episode and a few clips of the new one, and
okay.
I'm severely lacking in the original.
Oh my, oh my. Remind me sometime. I need to, because I have the entirety of the original
Mm-hmm.
Battlestar. Yes, I'm that much of a nerd. I got the complete season kit with the Cylon face on front. All right, people, judge me. Go ahead. So I have that. I need to get that ripped for you because that's awesome. And, you have to watch it because
Okay, Mark Caesar
it,
wants to know, have you seen Red Dwarf?
I have. I have.
Excellent.
Red Dwarf is awesome. But the thing I love best about the original Battlestar Galactica
Go on.
is if you like westerns, you're gonna love this
I do like
because
it.
it is literally they took the formula for a western and it happens in space.
Excellent.
That's it.
I'm gonna have to have a look at this at some point.
I mean, it's campy, it's cheesy, it is enjoyable.
I like a
I
bit of
mean,
campy and cheesy,
oh
as long
yeah.
as I'm
I
in the
mean,
right mood.
this is like Adam West Batman level campy.
Okay, yep, I'll have to look. Because I grew up as a child watching Adam West Batman.
Cheers. Oh, cheers. Yeah.
Now, science fiction westerns. Speaking of that, have you seen Firefly?
I am about to punch you for your doubt in my ability to have already seen this.
Because Firefly is one of my favorite things. In fact, I'm looking at the DVD case right now.
Oh, you have the. Oh, you bastard.
I
Oh, I don't have
occasionally,
it yet.
I occasionally watch an episode of Firefly just while I'm eating. I'll just put them on.
I loved Firefly. It got canceled too soon. The movie Serenity
Oh, Rabbit
wrapped it up.
Fox.
The movie Serenity wrapped up the Firefly storyline nicely, but
Yeah,
there was so much more they could have given us.
they could have gone a decade with it at least.
Because I swear by my pretty blue bonnet, I love that show.
Absolutely. I did like the film though. I enjoyed
Yeah.
the film quite a bit, particularly one particular line from it, which is Mal walks into the bridge when blah, 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 blah. I always get the actor's name mixed up with the character's name. It's River.
Just go with the character. Just go with the character.
Crazy Sister.
Mm.
It's River.
I know. Yep. River.
And the
River.
actor is Summer.
Yep.
It's that way round. Right. River is on the bridge, redirecting the course of the ship. Mal walks onto the bridge, and he's doing his whole speech, and he ends with, I don't believe that this something is true, and if it is true, you should kill me now. And she just immediately pulls out a gun and points it at his head without looking, like, and he's there like, or we could talk more.
Yep. I love that scene. That scene was beautiful. And I have so much appreciation that they gave us the movie to wrap up all the storylines as well as they did.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm still sad that we missed out on what could have been a decade of a wonderful TV show.
Yep. Now, there's something I have to say, and apologies to everyone if you haven't seen the film because spoilers. Close your ears for the next few minutes.
Yes, yes.
I have on my PC. I've set it up to cycle through essentially a slideshow of backgrounds. One of those backgrounds is a quote from the film, which is "I am a leaf on the wind."
Oh God, no! That scene.
And
that scene,
every time that background cycles onto my screen, if I happen to be looking at the background rather than something over the background, it tends to just kind of freeze me in place for a few minutes, and I will sit there staring at it, and just kind of.
You bastard! You had to bring up that scene.
Yes,
he was so close. He was so close. He did so good. And to be and to go out that way. Mm-hmm. Oh, it hurts. But it also brings up, what the hell was that windshield made of? That a spear could go through it that easy.
Not solid enough stuff.
Yeah.
They should have had a better windscreen, damn it.
Yes, exactly. I'm blaming it on the construction crew that made the ship.
Yep.
Yes, Madame Raven's right. Too soon. It's too soon, Badger.
It's never not too soon.
Princess brings up she's mad that they killed Wash. But as far as
Wait,
the
they
story
killed Wash?
we knew either Wash or his wife was going to die. We knew one of them was going to die. We knew not everyone was making it out of that.
Yeah.
So
but they needed Zoe for the next scene because she was
Yep.
actually competent in combat.
And they were done with Wash. They didn't need no little techno
At
flight.
that point in the film, he'd done his bit. His bit was being the fucking ace pilot that gets them out of the mess and down to the planet.
Yep.
At that point, as much as I love Wash, and he is one of the best characters in the show, along with every other character in the show, he had played his role in that film. He was no longer useful to the plot.
Correct. Which made his death a good one to do, which also polarized the characters and gave us that one last bit of push to the ending we got.
And it gave us the emotional intensity for the scene between Mal and whatever the fucking sword assassin guy was called.
Yeah.
It gave the emotional intensity to give that scene the punch that it had.
But that sword assassin guy, I actually liked him as a character.
Oh, I liked him as a character. I just can't remember what he's bloody called.
Badly, because I could identify with his motivations completely.
I wondered if you might.
Oh, yeah. I understood him better than I did anyone else in the show.
No, he does have one of the best lines in the thing, which is, "Oh, I'm not going to live there. I'm a monster."
Uh-huh. I'm just here to make it.
Yeah. And it's interesting that this character has that clarity about what he's trying to do. That he is essentially he's essentially a weapon. He is an instrument of the state to create this utopia that he envisages, even though he, because of what he has to do to make it exist, can't be part of it because he's, as he says, he's a monster.
Yep. He's there to ensure the secrets that need to be kept are kept. And once the secret's out, he's done. There's nothing he can do once the secret's out. So I identified with him on a personal level because I understood his motivations completely.
Yep.
Whereas with like Mao, I liked him because he was an over the top and actiony and over dramatic character. Wash I liked because he was that quiet introvert that once you got on something he liked, I mean, he'd talk your damn ear off. River I liked
probably
because
both relate to that, judging by how long this conversation's been going.
Yep. River I enjoyed because she can kill you with her brain.
That's
all
true.
Right? Yeah. So, you don't fuck with River. Although every time talking about Firefly and River, I always want to say River Song from Doctor Who, but totally different characters.
That is true. Now, I don't know much about River Song from Doctor Who because I ran out of steam for Doctor Who during the Matt Smith era.
Shut your heathen mouth.
Now, let me just clarify something. I actually enjoyed Matt Smith as the Doctor. I just didn't enjoy the writing of the episodes.
Okay. I'll tell you I can accept that.
Particularly, I liked one aspect of Matt Smith as the Doctor, which was he would talk about what his plan was going to be, and at one point, and he would babble a lot. At one point, someone interrupted that and said, "Well, look, where are you going with this?" And he goes, "I don't know. I'm still planning it as I talk." And I was like, "Yes, I know that. That's how I plan."
Matt Smith was a good doctor. David Tennant was a good doctor.
David
He
Tennant
had
is my
epic hair.
doctor.
David Tennant had epic hair. I forget.
Yep.
I forget the name of the actor
Christopher
who played the
Eccleston.
doctor for the first season of the new Who.
Christopher Eccleston.
Yes, that was my doctor because
Mhm.
he was fantastic.
I really like Christopher Eccleston. In fact, he kind of inspired me to do certain things when I was younger that I wouldn't have done otherwise. However, David Tennant is my doctor.
You know, all right, I'm gonna throw this out there. I'm a hypersexual psychopath. I am pansexual. David Tennant can do whatever he wants to me.
To be honest, same.
I'm sorry, that man can do whatever he wants to me.
Not
Ugh.
not not, not anyone, but David Tennant, yeah. Or in
And he
fact,
was
John Barrowman.
yeah, yeah, yep,
I am a big fan of Captain Jack Harkness.
yep,
You watch Torchwood,
yep.
by the
The
way.
face of Bode. The face of Bode. Oh,
Did you watch Torchwood?
oh yes, I've watched Torchwood.
Yeah. Torchwood, I very much enjoyed it. It is a spin-off of Doctor Who that took it in a direction that I really liked.
I
A
was
little
actually
bit
a
too
little
much CGI.
surprised. I was a little surprised with the direction they took it, but I enjoyed it immensely because you still get this occasional nod to where they came from,
Mm-hmm.
but it's their own individual thing.
Yeah.
So I
Also,
respected that.
I have the coat.
Oh, you bastard!
I have
I
the
need.
RAF greatcoat that Captain Jack wears.
Very nice.
I wore it recently, just walking around the city, and someone complimented me on it, saying, "Oh, I love that coat. I have a similar one." But unfortunately, the chap was an older gentleman who'd got the coat years ago, and it fitted him in every direction except girth,
Oh,
because he'd unfortunately put on a little bit since he got the coat.
oh, poor man.
Yeah. And he was asking me where I got that one to see if he could get a new one that might fit him better. So I told him, but I didn't really know where I got it. So
Ooh, Spooky brings something up. Have you seen the new Who?
the new Who, what with Lady Doctor?
Yes,
No, I
with her
haven't.
empty pockets.
No, I
Oh,
haven't
you
seen it
have to watch it. You have to watch it. I'm sorry. The
because
introduction of her was beautiful because empty pockets.
I haven't seen it because I ran out of steam for Doctor Who during the Matt Smith era. I watched
Oh,
very little of Dooley Dooley's Shouty Scottish man. What's he called?
oh, the doctor with the tack eyebrows.
Yeah, what's he
I
called?
liked
What
him.
was the name of the actor?
Oh, I forget. I forget. He wasn't that important, but he was a good doctor because I enjoyed the attack eyebrows.
I
And it
enjoyed the
was their
attack.
first Scottish doctor.
Yeah, I liked him as the Doctor, but I didn't like the stories that the Doctor had to deal with.
I can agree with that. There were a few really good ones, but most of them were missed. Peter Capelli, that's it.
That's
Thank you,
yeah, Peter
Spooky.
Capaldi.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Spooky.
my issue is that basically when Russell T Davies left, all the writing went downhill. The casting was still great, and a lot of the
Mm.
things going on in it were still very good, but just the writing of the episodes, just I couldn't get into it. It was just
Yeah, yeah. Agreed. The stories are a little lacking. They're trying, but they are a little lacking. But, the casting is good, and the catch lines for the Doctor are still spot on. They're still doing good with that.
mm.
Um, I did enjoy the Rosa Parks episode they did. They did wonderful with that story.
Let's say that I'm rather out of the loop with the last 2.5 Doctors. So, I saw a bit of Matt Smith ran out of steam. I saw a couple of episodes with Capaldi and was like, "This is a good Doctor. Shame about the story." And I haven't seen the new one at all. Would you recommend that I have a check out the new one?
Damn, I'm gonna have to say no. I'm gonna have to say no because the stories are still lacking a bit.
Is it the same story issues?
Same story issues.
Okay.
Same story issues they had with Peter Capaldi.
Okay.
There's a few gems. Most of it is just what? I'm not too invested in this. The Doctor's clever and that's nice.
Matt Smith had an issue in that he was a perfectly serviceable Doctor. He was, entirely competent at playing the Doctor. In fact, I think he did quite well. The stories were a bit lacking, but one of the major reasons why I struggled to get into Matt Smith was he followed David Tennant. And you can't follow David Tennant. Especially not the ending that David Tennant got.
David Tennant cheated because he had 2 incarnations, all right?
Yeah, well, he's David Tennant, so fuck yourself.
Yeah, all right. Come on, that epic hair, it had to come back. I did enjoy how they gave him extra. He deserved it. The stories deserved it. We needed it. It was good. Now, Matt Smith following David Tennant, I mean, just like any other Doctor, you really can't compare one Doctor to the other Doctor. They're all their own Doctor.
Yeah, they're their own thing.
I really, really enjoyed the Matt Smith Doctor because of that whole babbling on and fezzes are cool. All right.
Yep. Here's the thing with the Doctors. I've met a couple of the Doctors, as in met the actors.
Oh, you lucky bastard!
Because I live in the UK and conventions. Mm-hmm. Now I've met. Now the problem is I'm not very good with names because dyslexic, short-term memory issues. I tend to forget names very quickly. I have visual memory, but not very good. Things. So the guy who wore a leek on his lapel.
I have no idea what a leek is.
It's a vegetable.
Oh wait. Oh yeah.
I met that one. I met the guy with the stripy, colourful suit and the pocket watch chain.
He was awesome.
Yeah, it looked like a knitted bit of string. And the question I asked him when I met him was there ever a watch on the end of that? And he answered me, only in the episode where I had to check the time.
Oh, that just seems so appropriate.
The rest of the time it was just tucked in.
That just seems too appropriate. I love it.
Well, what else was I going to say? And I met Sylvester McCoy.
Nice.
And I discovered after meeting Sylvester McCoy, because I was fucking nerding out my head. I was kind of walking up like, I'm struggling to walk because my trousers are now too tight. Colin Baker, that was the chap. Yep. Now, as I walked up to meet Sylvester McCoy, because while I didn't like the Hobbit films that much because of the overuse of CGI, I still enjoyed them. And I particularly liked him as Radagast.
Yeah.
So I walked up and I had this whole conversation with him about him playing Radagast and being the Doctor and all sorts of other stuff. I later discovered that meeting him at conventions is not quite so amazing as meeting some of the other Doctors at conventions. Not in terms of it's not fun to meet him, but it's not as rare a thing because he goes to fucking everything apparently.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just looking at the guest list for the Comic Cons, he's on them just all the time.
Well,
also goes to smaller conventions in smaller cities.
Oh, Oh, he's one of those.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's a fun guy. He just likes meeting people.
All right. Yeah, I can respect that. But yeah, it kind of takes away some of the special.
Well, not really.
Yeah.
But it takes away some of the rarity, but not the specialness.
Yeah.
It just means he's a much more personable chap who likes going and meeting people, and I can respect
Sort of like with Star Trek, Brent Spiner versus Jonathan Frakes.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I have met some other interesting people. Just humble bragging a little bit. I've met some fun people at conventions. I've met the guy who originally played Boba Fett.
Oh, right on.
And he was a fun guy. We just ended up chatting about the theater.
Right on. Okay, I'm definitely jealous over that one.
I've also met the guy who played General Veers.
Oh! Oh! I'm going to throw something at you.
Although that was a very brief conversation, if I'm remembering it correctly. I also met the guy who played Admiral Piet.
Okay.
And he was funny because he looked like he wanted to still be in bed. I think he had a cold at the time he was at the convention, probably from all the traveling.
Mm-hmm.
And he was there, and he was doing his best to make everyone feel welcome and have a special experience of meeting somebody from the original Star Wars. But he also looked like he should have been in bed. And, I have great respect for him for just really making the effort to be there and trying to make people happy that they'd met someone from the trilogy. But also, I was a bit worried. It's kind of you're okay,
It's like you're not going to fall over dead on us, are you? All right,
yeah.
Cool.
He was kind of, when people walked away from the table, you could see him just kind of, oh.
Yeah. That kind of reminds me of the one convention I've gone to. I actually sat down, and had an hour and a half long conversation with George Takei.
Oh, interesting.
Oh yeah, that was fun and very enjoyable. But he looked like death warmed over the entire time.
I mean, I should say, oh my.
Oh my! I mean, the poor man. You could tell he was suffering, and his husband was there trying to extract him the entire time.
Extract him from the convention.
and I'm just sitting there going, I don't know what to do. Do I tell him to leave, or do I just keep talking? Oh, what do I do? What do I do?
All right, I'll tell you one other person that I've met. The voice of Duke Nukem.
Oh, that's interesting.
That was a fun experience, and he is a hilarious guy.
I would expect as much, considering the character he voiced.
And that's not how he sounds when he's talking normally. Talking normally, he sounds like just a fun guy to chat with. But in character, it's I've got balls of steel.
I'm here to kick ass and chew bubble gum, and I'm all out of bubble gum.
I'm here to kick bubble gum and chew ass. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, we've been going for quite a while at this point.
Just under 2.5 hours.
What do you reckon? Shall we wrap it up for now? Because I think probably.
I don't know. We have 12 people in the chat, and they seem to be enjoying it.
We may have killed everyone.
Oh, they just know we're nerds now.
Oh, dear.
Our secret is out.
To be fair, judging by how often I mention Star Wars in examples, I don't think there's a doubt of that. Also, your avatar is an anime character.
Very true. Yes. Yes. I am a little bit of an otaku.
Have you
Oh,
read?
well, Princess is telling us to keep going, so I guess we have to keep going.
Well, let's keep going a little bit longer though. Have you read World War Z? Or Z, as it
Red,
would be
no.
pronounced in my native land.
Red, no. I didn't
Yeah,
even. I wasn't even aware of that
you've seen the Brad Pitt film, have you?
until the movie came out, and I'm one of those people that as soon as I find out there was a book about it, I stop judging the movie until I read the book and I can determine how bad they did in the movie.
Have you read the book now? I missed that bit.
I have not been able to find a copy of it, actually.
Well, I have one, and I've seen the film, and I can tell you they did very badly.
That does not surprise me.
There is only one character from the book that's in the film at all.
Say what?
There's only one character from the book that's in the film at all.
No, you see, that doesn't make any sense.
And I was very disappointed about that. And although the author says they got that character pretty much spot on.
So they got one character only. But
However,
they did
everything
that
else,
right.
no, everything else is wrong. The zombies are wrong. The main character's wrong. Well, he's not wrong because he's not in the book. So he's wrong as in he's not in the book, but as his own character, he's fine.
All right.
But I will say, I enjoyed the film. It was tense and suspenseful. A little bit too much CGI as usual. A bit too much broader scope trying to save the world, although they did keep it quite well contained. Narrative-wise, so that I could still get into it. I enjoyed the film, but it's a terrible adaptation of the book.
Okay. Because, as far as zombie movies go with the whole new, is this really a zombie movie genre? Overall, it was okay-ish. It felt a little too much like it was trying to bank on I Am Legend for me.
Yeah, I can see that.
So I was a little leery of it overall, and I just noticed in chat, Spooky Bedhair finally realized what my name is backwards. So, small bit of pointing and laughing.
Yeah, I discovered that watching a zero punctuation review of one of the Castlevania games.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at my name, you kind of figure it out really quick if you actually pay any attention to the actual name. But then again, how often do people pay attention to the actual phonetics of a name?
Yeah, I'm dyslexic, so I didn't. But I already, when I discovered Helsing, I already knew that was the thing because of this zero punctuation review of the Castlevania game. Because I was trying to say Metroidvania.
That sounds like an interesting crossover game. We have to make this happen.
But because of the Castlevania game, and his comment on it was, and then you realise that Alucard is Dracula backwards, hardy har or something like that.
But the whole Alucard Dracula thing. If you watch Helsing and Helsing Ultimate,
spoilers.
Yeah, small bit of spoilers.
Right, I'm taking my earpiece out.
Pay attention to that because it makes Alucard's lore make a lot more sense.
Tell me when he's done. Someone tell me when he stopped talking about it in the chat.
Oh, poor Badger. He's so worried about spoilers. I could ruin the whole thing for him. Oh yeah, I'm done.
I'm putting it back in. Has he finished?
We're done. You're good.
Okay. Yeah, because I am literally midway through watching it right now.
Yeah, if I'm still on the boat, willing my way across the English Channel.
Yeah. You're having weird dreams about Bruce Willis.
So Rip Van Winkle is already dead.
Yeah, Rip Van Winkle. I can't speak. Rip Van Winkle is dead.
All right. And I'm sorry, the spirit of one of my guns is Bruce Willis. Leave it alone, all right? Don't judge me.
No,
it's perfect.
I don't mind that. It's it's just when it goes into those bits, it kind of loses me a little bit because it's a bit more abstract than I can deal with.
Well, have you ever watched Bleach?
No.
Oh. Well, in Bleach, you have the Shimigami. Well, in the original, unedited, untranslated,
Yeah.
they're called Shimigamis, gods of death. In the American version, the translated version, they're Soul Reapers,
Mm-hmm.
and their swords, their Zanbakutos, have
Yeah.
spirits within them.
Okay.
So the sword is a spirit entity, is a thing, and Alucard has personified his guns.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Mainly because he's got fucking millions of souls inside him. So he
Yeah.
has to do something with them.
Yeah. Well, he is a bit of a wonky guy.
Well, when you got like freaking 3 million people talking in your ear all the time, you might be a little weird too, all right?
I'm already a little weird, and I argue with myself, and there's only me here. And
I do that all the time. That's not normal.
apparently not. Apparently, a large percentage of people don't have an internal monologue.
I'm going to have to throw this one to the chat. Do you argue with yourselves? Because I do it all the time. It seems perfectly normal. I mean, Badger does it, so it's got to be normal, right?
Yeah, and I'm a badger, so I'm normal.
Yeah. The Badger does it. The vampire does it. Up, look, Princess does it too. We're good.
Okay, excellent. We're fine. One person in the chat agrees. So, here's the thing with Hellsing. If it wasn't in the form it's in, I probably would struggle to get into it.
Yes, it definitely needs to be in the anime format.
Yeah, not just the anime format. It needs to be, I would say, overdone in the case of how over the top a lot of the characters are.
Yes.
And
yes,
it needs to be that. Well. Otherwise, the subject matter would be ridiculous. At least to my aesthetic choice in stories.
Well, the subject matter is ridiculous anyway, but
I know
we can get into it.
But my point is, it would be too ridiculous for me to get into if the characters weren't so over the top.
Yes, if they tried to do it gritty and serious, it definitely would not work.
Yeah, because you've got, Alucard there cackling away as he blows some poor fucker's leg off.
Well, the little blonde shit broke my 50-inch widescreen plasma TV.
He did, yes.
All right, and then he tried sucking my dick and sucking up to me like I was his alcoholic father.
Yeah,
and he wouldn't even get me another beer. So
that's a good point.
I had to make a point.
Well, you see, because the show has that, because it has basically because Alucard in the show is essentially a villain, but playing a hero.
Oh no, he is the villain. Let's not quip about this.
Oh yeah, but he's you know what I mean.
Yeah.
he's the main character as much as the other characters are great. Is the draw is you've got this fucking cackling murderous vampire blowing people away.
Hey! I did good in Brazil. A lot of people survived.
Well, not the SWAT team.
Well, they obviously had really good health insurance. If they hadn't pulled the trigger, it would have been fine. All right? And good news, I got to cancel my room service.
True. I did like how upset you looked when that one guy shot himself.
Yeah.
You're just there like,
He had to push out. I mean, he was so close to being human and earning the right to actually kill me, but he had to push out. Because you see, only a real human will ever be able to kill me. Nothing else. I'll never let anything else do it.
Mm-hmm. So here's the thing. Another thing with the show. I really like Integra.
Oh God, she is awesome.
And the reason I really like Integra is just because she's barely done anything up till the point I've got to in the show. She herself has killed one vampire.
Yep.
And that was right before fucking Anderson showed up.
Oh, you brought me a present.
Yeah. Here's the thing, though. Anderson, he's Irish.
Yes.
A friend of mine was in the army for a while. He was stationed in Ireland because that is still a thing. That's still ongoing, that whole Catholic-Protestant conflict.
Oh, God.
It's considerably less serious now than it used to be, but it's still going.
So no more nail bombs?
So my friend was stationed in Ireland as a bomb disposal guy.
Okay, so the nail bombs are still a thing.
He blew up a pizza delivery guy's car because they shut down a road because the guy's car had been stolen and left on this main road. And the police were worried that in the time between when it was stolen and when they found it, they were worried that somebody might have put a bomb on it. So they called in the army bomb disposal.
And they just blew it up.
And rather than closing the road for like 16 hours or however long it would have been while they did the full bomb disposal procedure, the police said, well, we can't really shut this main road for the amount of time required for you to do the bomb disposal procedure. Is there anything else you can do? And they went, well, we can blow it up.
I love that. That is how you handle that kind of problem.
You wonder why the British Army isn't popular in Ireland. It wasn't him that had to explain to this pizza delivery guy that they'd blown up his car. It was the Irish
He has
police.
insurance. He has insurance. He's covered. You know, it reminds me of Israel's version of scouting. Because, you know, they live out, it's all desert out there. So Israel's military does scouting with a tank. They see something that they might need to investigate, they launch a high explosive shell at it.
Yep.
You know, it works. It's effective.
It's active scouting.
Yes, it's effective. Obviously, there was no one behind that bush because it's exploded. Yeah.
And even if there was, there isn't now.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's effective. It's to the point. Yeah. I can appreciate it.
All right, here's the thing with the UK. All right, the UK, every different part of it hates every other part of it.
That makes sense.
Let me give you an example. Scotland hates England.
I wonder why. I wonder why. Might not have anything to do with trying to breed the Scots out, would it?
Or rather, England is ambivalent towards Scotland most of the time. Ireland hates England. Wales hates England.
So everyone hates England.
Yeah. All unless any other country is involved, at which point UK, we're great. Now, let's look at the counties of England. They all hate each other. Let's look at the southernmost counties. We have Devon and Cornwall. Devon and Cornwall hate each other because they're in constant debate about who invented the pasty. Until Dorset gets involved, at which point, fuck Dorset.
Okay. Oh.
Devon, Cornwall, and Dorset all despise each other until anywhere else gets involved, at which point, West Country for life.
And you know what really blows my mind about Britain? And this really blows my mind because here in the States, we're really spread out, you know? To us, a 45-minute drive to work is nothing. But I've heard from many people living over in Britain that, you know, they haven't seen their parents in like years because they live so far away.
And it's
and it's a
45-minute drive.
45-minute drive.
Let me tell you, a 45-minute drive would pretty much be a deal breaker for me taking the job.
But it's only 45 minutes. I can drive across your entire country in a couple of hours.
Yeah.
And that's nothing to me. I would spend 2 hours going to a mall.
I know it takes you like a fucking week to drive from one side to the other, but round here, we like things to be close.
But seriously, your entire country. I mean, I love it. Great culture. It's interesting that as far as the whole accents go, if you look at it, America kept the original British accent, and y'all evolved your own version of the accent.
Listen to me. We have fucking thousands of accents.
Which makes no sense to me because you're all within spitting distance.
Well, let me tell you about it. This is a thing, actually. You can tell how long sort of a people has lived in an area by how diverse the accents are. This isn't an exact measurement, but it's an indicator. You can tell that the British have been natives of this land for a very long time because just a few streets away, the accent can be completely different. Whereas in America, it's quite similar across the whole country. I mean, there's obvious differences between different areas, but
yeah,
a lot more similarity between someone in Texas and someone in Canada than there is between someone in the south of England and someone in Scotland.
Okay, now that just blows my mind because the Texas accent, I mean, let me tell you about my big old truck, y'all. I'll tell you about my big old truck. And then we get to the Canada accent. I don't know what you're talking about, eh?
Yeah.
It seems completely different to me.
But to a British ear, they're quite similar. Whereas,
well,
let me give you an example. Let me give you an example. Here is the more colloquial version of my accent that is a more southern one. I'm not going to tell you exactly where, but it's more southern. We talk a bit like this down here. We talk a bit country like, right? We're around down here in the southern area, right? Now you go up to Scotland and they talk like this here, right? They're very rolling of the R's in Scotland.
Oh, hey, laddie, I don't know what you're talking about. We don't roll our R's at all.
And you go to London and they're all fucking Cockneys. Well, in fact, no, they're not. Central London, occasionally you'll meet a Cockney. But London is such a diverse place now that you can go from one house to the next and the accent's completely different. Even discounting the people who have come from different countries.
Okay.
Central London has a different accent to outer London.
Okay, but to my barbaric, uncivilized American ear, most y'all all sound the same. And I just said y'all. Oh my God, I've lived in the South too much. I grew up in California. I did. Right. And now I'm finding myself having lived in the South for 7 years. Words like y'all, and backwards. The fuck is backwards? Oh God, what am I? I need to get the hell out of the South.
I'll tell you a thing. I've mentioned I'm a bit more of a Southern Brit. Now, I have elements of a Northern accent in my accent. And that is entirely because I grew up watching Red Dwarf.
Okay.
I started imitating certain things that Dave Lister would say. I'm trying to think of a good example, and I now can't. I suppose actually the example would be how I say the word north.
It sounded normal and north to me.
If I was to say it in a more southern voice, it'd be like north.
North?
Yeah, like north. And if I was to say it in a more northern accent, it'd be north.
Okay, so one accents the R really hard, and
when
one
the Christopher
skips it.
Eccleston Doctor says, lots of planets have a north.
Yeah. And apparently now I have to kick Princess's ass because she just pointed out that I said y'all
Yeah.
after I went through my existential crisis over it. All right? Leave me alone. I'll start speaking Russian. All right? Don't make me do it.
I know a couple of words of Russian. Not enough to
Uh,
speak Russian. Really.
Now, the bad thing is I can read and write Russian quite well. Just like every other language I can speak.
Okay.
Snail likes to cuss at me that I'm a polyglot. But the problem is I can read and write them far better than I can speak them because I
Fair enough.
haven't been speaking them recently.
Here's the thing: the only foreign languages I know any of, I can speak but can't write a single word of. I don't know any foreign languages fully, but I know enough to have a very basic conversation in French. You know, enough to buy a drink but not pay.
Oh, excuse me, I just sneezed.
I
Okay,
could,
yeah,
I could
no,
go to
I
France and
can
order
feel
a drink, but once they ask for payment, I'm fucked.
that. And no, Snail, we haven't gotten into how many languages we can speak. We just started talking on it, so.
All right. Well, let me tell you a story of when I went to France. Don't ask me why a Brit went to France. I know we're natural enemies, but we've got to try to get on. All right. So
They got good booze.
they do, but they have terrible cheese. Now, I went to France. While in France, I was trying to buy some croissants.
Uh-huh.
And I thought to myself, I'm in France, I'll do it in French. So I went to the
Okay.
boulangerie, the
All
bakery,
right.
and I went in and I said, bonjour, 4 croissants, s'il vous plaît.
Okay.
And the guy just looked at me and with a very snooty, grumpy French accent said, so you want 4 croissants then?
Oh, the bastard.
And
I hate those people.
I was just there with this kind of sad, crestfallen expression, just like, yeah, 4 croissants, please.
It's like, come on, I was using the language. I was being accepting and
I'm
proper.
trying.
It's like every time I go to Mexico and I try to speak Spanish, they just look at me like, "What are you doing, gringo? I speak English." Fuck you, I'm trying. Like, ¿Dónde está el baño? It's like, hello, where's the bathroom? They're
What are you
like, it's
doing,
around
Gringo?
the corner, gringo.
All right. See, I learned a few words in Dutch, but almost all of them I have now vergeten.
Yeah. I started to learn Swedish, but it was pointed out to me that when I speak Swedish, I sound like a Turkish man speaking Swedish, so I
Oh
kind of
dear.
abandoned that.
Well, you see,
Yeah.
the problem is I only know the word forgotten in Dutch because I've forgotten the rest. Vergeten. And I can't, unless I
Uh,
really prepare, I can't get enough phlegm in it.
yeah. Dutch is an interesting one.
Vergeten.
I mean, I speak German and Russian, but they have nothing on the amount of phlegm you need for Dutch.
Mm.
Oh,
Mm-hmm. I do have a friend from Vienna, actually.
yeah. I have to say, one of my favorite accents is the Russian accent.
I agree. Oh, have you seen that comedian guy who was talking about if he's ever in a rough area, he pretends to be Russian because
Yes,
Russians are the
yes.
scariest white people.
I've seen that.
He's just there like, hey, yo, man, you know what neighborhood you're in? He's just, you think this bad neighborhood?
I have no idea what you're talking about. This is wonderful area. Now you come to Mother Russia. I will show you bad time. Yes.
Yep.
Hello, comrade. Let us discuss exactly what we are supposed to do with knife. Yes.
Da, comrade, da.
Ah.
Yeah. Oh,
uh,
are you aware of Life of Boris?
yes.
Good. I have a signed picture from Boris.
Oh, you are showing off now. Oh, there's that giggle. There's that Rumpelstiltskin giggle.
Oh, let me do the sniper laugh from Team Fortress 2. Give me a sec. Because he's like a crazy, stabby Australian man.
All right. I can appreciate that immensely.
With like a really overdone Australian accent, because this American voicing him. So.
Oh, crikey.
So here we go.
Holy shit, I love that, and I need that as a soundbite. Oh, if I can ever get my fucking video editing software to actually work. I mean...
You know, all right, here we go. The spy and the sniper in Team Fortress 2 are my two favorite classes and characters. And because they're the darkest.
Yep.
Now, the spy is, you know, like a cloak and dagger backstabby guy. He has a butterfly knife. He can go invisible and disguise as the other team, and backstab is an insta-kill.
Yeah.
Now, the sniper, when you actually listen to him speak, is a much darker character.
Okay. I can buy that.
The spy is a slightly snooty sounding French gentleman who says things like, "I'm going to gut you like a Cornish game hen." The sniper, on the other hand, is an outback bushman Australian chap who is most of the time just talking to himself because he's off on a water tower somewhere. And he's just there with his sniper rifle, just muttering to himself, going, "A helmet ain't gonna save you." And he's fucking blows the guy away, and he's there just going, "Oh, that funeral ain't gonna be open casket."
Yep. I definitely agree. The sniper is better from those lines.
And the sniper has, all right. There's the heavy weapons guy who is a very large Russian man. He has a very large gun called Sasha.
This makes perfect sense, yes?
He's a little bit rotund, as in he's a very strong man, but he's not a toned man.
You know, much vodka puts weight on.
He's
so
a
you
large
can
Russian man.
Yes.
So everyone, of course, makes fat jokes about him.
But you have to be thick to enjoy Russian winter.
Mm-hmm. So
it lasts 12 months.
The sniper's lines include such amazing things. If he's dominating a player playing as the heavy weapons guy, he says such things as, "Oi, you're bleeding gravy, fatso."
I'm gonna have to play this game.
It's free to play now.
I'm gonna have to get on it.
It's not too intensive on your computer because it's quite an old game now. But
that's a good sign.
The sniper has amazing lines. I can also, they did a whole series of trailers, like interviews with each different character.
Oh.
I can recite the entire Meet the Sniper from memory.
So kind of like me in Helsing episodes. Don't question it. Just
it starts off. He drives around in a camper van, and he's got a little bobblehead on the dashboard. And as he's driving along, you just see the bobblehead kind of nodding, and then this hand come in that just flicks the head and just boom, headshot.
Oh, that just seems utterly enjoyable.
He's driving along in his camper van, just kind of casually doing the overhand wheel turn as he turns a corner. And he's there going, "Sniping's a good job, mate. It's challenging work, out of doors, and I guarantee you'll not go hungry. Because at the end of the day, long as there's two people left on the planet, someone is going to want someone dead."
And I cannot argue with the accuracy of that. I love it.
So yeah, Sniper is my favorite character. The Heavy's good fun though. The Heavy's good fun. The Meet the Heavy videos is him just there with his gun, talking about his gun.
Well, yes, good Russian man has his relationship with weapon is better than wife. Yes.
Yeah, and he's there with his gun. He goes, I am heavy weapons guy, and this is my weapon. She fires $400 custom cartridges at 400 rounds per minute. I may be getting the numbers wrong. It costs $400,000 to fire this weapon for 12 seconds.
Sounds legitimate to me. I love it.
The engineer is great. He's a Texan guy.
Oh my!
And he just builds machines. He's there. the meet the engineer is just he's sitting in a chair playing the guitar, and all his turrets are shooting everything for him. He's just sitting in his chair with his beer, playing the guitar, going ding 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 ding.
Seems utterly appropriate. I love
Now
it.
look, buddy, I'm an engineer, which means I solve problems. Gun kills someone. But not problems like what is beauty, because that would fall within the purview of your conundrums of philosophy. Gun kills someone. I solve practical problems.
I like it. Now, I was always a fan of, in games like that, the one that can set up the gun turret somewhere and just camp out hiding.
Yep. Me and a friend of mine used to play as the engineer quite a bit as well. There was just one instance where we'd both set up this amazing setup in this little corner. We had our turrets fully upgraded. We had our dispensers there. We had everything all set up. And we're just crouched in the corner, banging away on the turrets with our spanners, just going ding, 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 keeping them repaired. I look around at my friend, I go, hey, there's a spy on your head. He just looks up, and the spy is just decloaked on his head and is holding the snapper that deactivates the turrets, and he's about to try to put them on the turrets, and he hasn't realized that we've seen him. So my friend just looks up and goes, oh, and just bonks him off with the spanner. Just, oh.
Hey, there's a spy on your head. Oh, well, let me take care of that real quick.
Yeah, it's good fun. Here's a question for you. Do you have a game that you recommend?
I am a huge fan of the RPG games,
Mm-hmm.
so I would recommend Persona 5.
Interesting. I haven't played that one. Tell me a little about it.
It's well, have you played any of the Personas? Hold on, I'm getting a call from work. Hold on.
Well, let me tell you, everyone, I have not played the Persona games. So while the vampire is dealing with Sir Integra calling him up, let me tell you a little bit about how the other characters in Team Fortress 2 act. So you have the Scout. He is a little tiny man from Boston who beats people with a baseball bat.
What's that?
He talks a little kind of high-pitched voice, like, yo, what's up?
Hold on. Let me go grab my wallet.
Force of nature. Look, birds fly.
Yeah, because I don't have that number memorized.
And brother,
Yeah,
I heard you. It's been great seeing you there, Cheshire. We should do this again sometime. What other characters do we have in Team Fortress 2? Oh. The demo man. The black one-eyed Scottish man with a penchant for explosives. And drinking and swearing. I'm not going to try and imitate his voice right now because I've worn out my throat already doing accents. Although apparently my sniper voice is very good. I was once accused of being a soundboard when I was doing sniper quotes in a game of Team Fortress 2. And I said, all right, fuck off with your soundboard. And I said, no, this ain't a soundboard, mate.
But it's not Sunday.
You're not Sunday. So,
am I still going to do it on Sunday then? Okay.
just listen in here. What's going on? Ooh, must be good.
Yeah.
There's some agreement.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Steady on there.
No idea why he hung around so long.
Got no idea. Well, it sounds to me. Ooh, it sounds to me like something terribly exciting is going on at that end. Oh dear. Anyway, any more questions from the chat while we're sitting around here? Well, I really must be tootling off at some point soon. Questions, go! Oh, I'm that boring, am I, Name Princess? Well, thank you very much.
All right, yeah, you had it right. All right, so, yeah.
Best Pokemon.
See if you can find out if he wants me to do it on Sunday still. We're just putting them out of order.
What's he doing on Sunday? We shall have to
All
find
right,
out.
thank you.
Best Pokemon. I only do the original
No
Pokemon.
problem. Bye.
Don't deal with any of these new ones. Let me see. Oh, he's back. So what's happening on Sunday?
Oh, well, usually Sunday, because my store has Class B gaming machines in it, which are a version of a slot machine that you can't get actual money from.
Okay.
Usually Sunday is when we do our close on those for the week and pull the money, but apparently we're doing it today for some reason.
Okay.
So the store needed the account number for it, and now I got to figure out if we're actually doing the close for them on Sunday.
Oh dear.
Yeah, I mean, especially considering those go straight to the state lotto commission.
Oh dear.
You know,
see,
yeah, that's government.
I'm one of these people that if my work were to call me on a day I'm not working, I would not answer.
Well, that's the problem when you take the daytime manager position.
Yeah, well, that's what you get, you fucking psycho. Anyway.
Yeah, and I'm not even salary. Shit, man. They pay me by the hour, so this is free for them.
Yeah. All right, here we go. We've got a few questions from the chat. Best Pokemon. I've said that I only do the original Pokemon. I'm not dealing with any of these new wonky things. And my favorite Pokemon varies depending on my mood, but I would go with one of the You're beeping.
And that is my cat doorbell because I have little psychopathic animals.
Of course. You saw my cat video, didn't you?
I did. But actually, that was the Y-boner coming home.
Oh. So you're telling me that we now have the Schrödinger as well?
Yes. Schrodinger's cat is in the house.
Shit.
Say hello. What up? He said hello.
Hello, I'm a badger from England.
One second.
All right. So,
Oh,
favorite Pokemon? I'm going to say Eevee because it's cute. What other questions we got? Dark City, what did you think of it? I have not watched Dark City yet. It's one of the next films I intend to watch. I have seen one scene from it, which is the singing of that song about marimba rhythms, and I've used it as an intro to a video once. Yes, Vash Alucard is here, although not right now. One of the questions we got: what do you think of the Gotham series? I haven't seen the Gotham series. I've seen a few clips of it though, and I kind of thought, this looks interesting, but also looks like it might be a bit. Well, you know how Batman vs Superman. Yeah, Ben Affleck as Batman is kind of terrible. It looked like it might be along the same lines, so I kind of went, I'm not going to invest any emotional effort in trying to get into this.
sorry
Ooh. He's back again.
All right, what were we talking about? Favorite Pokemon?
Yeah, I said Eevee because it's cute.
You son of a bitch. I love Eevee just because of all the different evolutions you can get from it.
That is also handy.
I love Eevee. I breed Eevees. Perfect IV Eevees. They are my thing.
Nice. Are you a Pokemon Go kind of guy?
No Pokemon Go. No.
A couple of friends of mine play Pokemon Go.
I probably could play it, but with how my phone bleeds battery.
Yeah, I'm having a similar problem.
Yeah.
Also, I don't have a mobile internet.
I'm in charge of, apparently, because if you didn't know, I have a cabal. A medical Jew said I was in charge of it, so I'm in charge of a cabal of atheists.
All right. Well, you must be.
And a princess there happens to be an Eevee, and she is our current goddess of atheists.
Outstanding.
Oh yes, it's enjoyable.
Now, there's a question from Spooky Bed here, which I think must be for you, which is how much badger porn do you watch?
Too much.
I'll show you something after the stream.
Does it have anything to do with that raccoon that's been dancing in the back of a couple of your videos?
No.
I'm interested about that raccoon.
Did you watch the Who's That Raccoon video?
I haven't watched that one yet. I'm trying to tease my brain.
A little while ago, but I think it got a little bit buried under other things at the time.
Yeah, I mean, I saw that it was up, but I've been trying to tease my brain and trying to watch your videos and dig through your list and try to figure out who's who for what, if you know what I'm referring to.
I think I might have an idea. Oh, no, yes, now I have an idea.
I
For anyone who doesn't know what's going on, I said something and said there is I've put the vampire on a scavenger hunt to try to figure out what I'm into. Carrying on.
And it's been quite enjoyable so far. I think I've narrowed it down to 3 possibilities.
Well, we shall have to discuss this after.
But I could be very wrong, and I acknowledge that possibility right out of the gate.
All right. Have you played Cuphead or Bendy and the Ink Machine?
I have not played them yet, but I want to so badly.
I have not played Cuphead. I have played the demo first level of Bendy and the Ink Machine that they did?
I've watched the GTA Live plays of Bendy and the Ink Machine.
And it gave me a fucking heart attack, I must say. I'm not good with horror games.
Oh, well, then you
Even
haven't played Dead
cartoony ones.
Have you played Dead Space?
No, and I'm not gonna play Dead Space either because there's a scene with an eye in it, and I don't do that.
All right. Well, in Dead Space, baby stomping boots. You really do. But all right. So
A friend of mine got
my
really into Dead Space because of the strategic dismemberment aspect.
it's lovely. But my first time playing Dead Space and my last time playing Dead Space, I should say.
Mhm.
I was living in this one place. It's different from where I am now. It's a much smaller place, and there were more people there.
Mhm.
But at the time, no one was home, so
Okay.
I was in the room in the dark in a cocoon of blankets, literally, like only my face was out, and I'm playing this Dead Space, and the door is closed, and the bedroom door is closed, and it's perfectly dark and quiet.
Mhm.
Now I have it up loud, so I don't hear the front door open. And I don't notice the bedroom door start to open until the light turns on
Mhm.
and the wife owner in a loud booming voice goes, "Hey, what you doing?" I literally, from a sitting position on the floor, two
Yeah.
feet in front of the TV in this cocoon of blankets, jump up about 4 feet without moving and haven't touched space since.
Excellent. Do you remember
The wife
those? Oh dear. Do you remember those jump scare games, the flash games where they'd get you to lean in really close to the screen and then jump scare you?
Yep.
Like when you had to navigate your mouse around that little maze or whatever.
And you get about halfway through, and suddenly this face is up and screaming at you.
Yep.
Yep.
As a child, I was traumatized by one of them. I think it was that one actually. I was going around. I was leaning in really close. The scream and the face appeared. I fell out of my chair backwards and sprinted up the stairs.
Okay.
And my dad was just there, like, what are you doing? I was just kind of standing at the top of the stairs, just nothing. just up the stairs now.
Now, the bad thing is, jump scares really don't get me, but it was just a perfect storm with that Dead Space game because
Yeah.
I was so into it. I was like an hour and a half into this game, and we're just introducing me to the fact that I need baby stomping boots. And suddenly this happens, and I'm up and I'm done, and I haven't touched the game since.
All right. Here's the thing about games. There's an issue I have with games, which is the crossover of narrative and gameplay.
Yeah.
In certain games, there's the whole debate that was going around Twitter a few days ago about putting in easy modes in games where the point is the challenge.
Yeah,
Did
the
you see
whole
that thing?
Dark Souls thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I play games almost entirely for the narrative. I'm not really there for the skill challenge. The skill challenge can be fun, and the gameplay can be fun, but I'm there for the story. So let me give you an example. Mass Effect, the first one. I haven't played any Mass Effect game after the first one.
Okay.
And the reason for that is, during the first one, you know the mission... Have you played Mass Effect?
I've played Mass Effect 2. I've seen Mass Effect 1. And for my sins, I went through about 2 hours of Mass Effect 3.
Okay, right. You know the blue woman with the tentacle head?
Yes.
There's a mission in the first one where you have to go and rescue her from some planet. I had progressed too fast because I was into the story and not into the grinding to level. So I was too low level to be doing this mission. I went and tried to do the mission and got stuck in an unskippable cutscene because it had one dialogue choice in it, both of the choices for which had the same outcome. And at the end of that massive scene of dialogue was a lift. And you go up the lift, and at the top of the lift there's an ambush. No matter what I did, I could not escape that ambush. I even tried fucking cheating with console commands, but it's not like your Fallout games. You can't just edit the entire world away. So no matter what I fucking did, I could not get past that ambush, and I just went, no, I'm done. I'm not playing this game anymore. Because I'm not going back 2 hours and grinding away to level up. I was into the story. You've lost me. I'm done.
Then you might enjoy Mass Effect 2. Good gameplay, good story, difficulty levels are selectable.
I was playing the first one on the easiest difficulty as well.
Oh my. What class did you go with?
I don't remember. I was getting really invested in the story, so I didn't do any of the leveling or anything because I just wanted to get straight to the next mission and continue the story.
Yeah. If you pick up Mass Effect 2, go with the easiest difficulty and the Sentinel Biotics class.
A friend of mine has played all the Mass Effects and got really into them, and he played the entire thing as Barack Shepard.
What?
Someone had done a preset where you could be Barack Obama.
Oh my!
And he did the entire thing as Barack Shepard. And then he refused to play Andromeda because they'd changed how the face construction system worked, and he couldn't port Barack Shepard over.
Oh no!
And that's his thing. When he plays Mass Effect, he's Barack Obama.
There are some reasons to not play Andromeda, and the character creation is not one of them.
It was the reason for him because he couldn't be Barack Shepard.
Oh, now I enjoyed the Mass Effect games. I did up until Andromeda, and no, there's nothing there in that game for anyone. Just stay away from it.
I've heard it's awful, and I've seen a few glitchy things happening.
Oh yeah.
But then my favorite bit of the first one was driving around in that little off-road buggy.
Oh, fuck that buggy! I hate that buggy. Hi, you're just driving along in the buggy from one mission to the other, and you randomly died. Go back.
I wasn't so keen on that, but the actual mechanics of the buggy I really liked. Just whee! Jumping over the little sand dunes. Although, for some reason, it felt like I was driving a remote-controlled car rather than like a big thing.
Yeah. And then the random ambushes out in the middle of between missions without checkpoints. And you're dead.
Yeah, that was a problem.
It's like, wait, how did I just get one-shotted? Nothing happened. And then you see the big thing off in the distance. Well, fuck you.
Yeah.
Now, I used to be one of those hardcore purists. Play the game on the hardest difficulty or don't play it at all. Now I just don't have the time unless it's Doom.
By the way,
you play it on the hardest difficulty.
Yeah, I can't do playing things on the hardest difficulty. I mean, there's certain games that I've played to death that I might put up the difficulty to kind of challenge myself if I already really understand the mechanics. Like Jedi Academy, for example.
Yeah.
But there's very few games like that.
Games on the easy difficulty.
All right. By the way, tell Herr Schrödinger that he's disturbing me in the show.
Hey, Y-Boner, you're bugging the badger in the show.
What?
The show, man. Why you gotta be such a Y-boner?
What we know what y'all talking about?
The show. Ultimate.
Ah,
He's on episode 5. You're bugging the shit out of him. Stop it.
fuck.
He said no.
I thought he might.
Oh.
I'm trying to think what I should say. I don't know. Tell him Schrodinger that I've got a bone to pick with him.
Hey, Y-boner.
What?
Get on Twitter. Badger has a bone to pick with you.
I'm on Twitter.
At Badger. He's got a bone to pick with you.
Well, you know what? I'll just tell him. What the fuck is up with those ears?
Wait. Hold on. Let me unplug the headset and you can ask him again. Go.
What the fuck is up with those ears?
That's you, Y-boner.
Yeah.
Sort your ears out, mate.
I played the Meow Mix team. Shut up.
What was that? What did he say?
Oh,
What did he say then? I couldn't quite hear him.
I play the meow thing. Shut the fuck up.
Meow Mix.
He's pleading Meow Mix on us.
Okay, I see. Right, remind me to put your link to your channel in the description because I haven't done it yet.
Oh, well, all right. I mean, if I can ever get my fucking videos to edit so they won't cause an epileptic fit.
Yeah, sort your video out because I want to see that one.
I have a really good video that needs to come out.
Yeah,
It needs to come out.
I'm sure it'll be not divisive at all.
Oh no, not at all, not at all. I mean, just to give a small non-finger pointing, no finger pointing or names dropped taste of it. Let me open up my stupidity from Twitterverse folder, and I'm gonna look at this tweet.
I'll put a link
I'm gonna read it. Oh, come on, open up folder. Well, you remember? All right, here it's opening up. There's the video folder, and are you the screenshot I need? No, I'm not going to throw it up on screen or anything because we're not dividing the community at all. But this is just some stupidity that needs to be addressed. It really does. My lord, it makes my brain hurt. The level of cancer this causes.
I'm putting the link to your channel in the chat, and I will put it in the description as well.
Grazie, I appreciate. No, you're not it, but you're another one I need to address. No, that's not it, but that's another one I need to address.
Now I've lost the stream chat.
Right versus left, I cannot reason, float. Ah, okay, yes.
Give me the chat back.
There, I added them.
I can see the chat just fine.
Yeah, no, it was because I tried to put your channel in the description.
Well, the channel
in the same window I had the chat open in. I forgot that I had the chat open.
And Vash clicked it. All right, so just a small taste for everyone on this video, if I can ever get it edited to a point where it's not an epileptic fit. Not naming any names, not pointing you in any directions. Remember, harassment's a bad thing. Just enjoy my suffering. The tweet, one tweet I'm responding to is, sadly, the real tragedy of the Smollett situation isn't the case itself, but the fact that it will desensitize a huge number of people when the next actual attack occurs. The fear of a hate crime is very real to many people, and the jokes, the memes, and the laughter won't help. Now, if you aren't familiar with the Smollett case, Smollett is a star off the HBO show The Empire.
This guy.
Yeah. Many months ago, he allegedly was the victim of a racially inspired attack. Well, last month and a half-ish ago, it came out that he was full of shit.
Oh dear.
There was no attack. Not only was no attack, but he got arrested for filing a false police report. And this man I'm responding to seems to think the tragedy is not that he wasted public money and public time, but that because his entire attack was fake, that now we might look at it and go, the accusation of a crime is not evidence.
Well, that is a negative, but I don't think that's the main thing.
That he got dropped. All the cases got dropped on him, right?
I'm. Hold on one moment. Schrodinger's saying something. Say again.
Every single charge on him was dropped for a sweetheart deal that he didn't even have to plead guilty to.
Oh, very nice. Apparently, Schrodinger's kept more up on the Smollett case than I have, because he got a sweetheart deal where he didn't have to plead guilty to shit and got all his charges dropped.
Oh dear.
Yep. But I'm sorry,
Hopefully the state's gonna take
he
that.
cried wolf, got busted for it, and this SJW thinks that the worst part about this is now that we won't hear an accusation and immediately assume guilt. This is backwards to me. Not naming any names, not pointing any fingers, but you know who I'm talking about. I know Princess knows who I'm talking about.
Well, here's the thing. That is a point. There is a point to what he's saying. If you ignore the whole assuming guilt side of it, there is a point to this desensitization to the actual issue. And that is a negative, but whose fault is that?
Exactly. We wouldn't have this desensitization if you, when hearing an accusation, didn't immediately run up to the highest rooftop you could and start trumpeting about how the accused person or accused group is so fucking horrible and bad and blah, blah, blah. Hear out the accusation, hear out the evidence, allow the legal system to achieve its goal, and then you can start virtue signaling.
There is the innocent until proven guilty standard in law. I am entirely on side of until there is credible evidence and the conviction there that it happened, the person should be treated as innocent.
Exactly. We've gone through this same problem, especially in the States. I don't know how it was elsewhere, but we've gone through the same problem of bullshit sexual assault accusations. We've had people's
like with
lives.
Craig Charles in Red Dwarf apparently had a whole thing come out which was proven completely false, but he'd already been kind of dragged through the mud about it.
Yep. That's a very good high-profile example, and then there's less high-profile examples.
I need to look up the details of that, just to make sure I'm not talking out my ass, but I'm pretty sure, as I understand it at the moment, that's how that went.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I want to add while we're sitting here, which is I've just now, as I had to refresh the page to get the chat back, I'm looking at the this background, the chat background.
Uh-huh.
It looks really good in the stream quality where everything's a little bit blurred and a little bit kind of jagged from being threaded through so many different internet connections. It actually looks really good.
I'm loving it. And you know, the whole guilt by association and guilt from accusation, which seems to be now not every SJW, and I will use the term SJW as a derogative, but I'm referring to the vocal minority. Same when I talk about feminism. Same when I talk about, you know, any of these fringe groups or social movements that have these extreme sides that are the minority without a doubt, but are the extremely vocal portion of it. So, you know, we have these SJWs screaming as soon as the accusation is made, that person is guilty. You know, there are 4 different incidences that I can think of off the top of my head where a college individual, a man in college, 2 football players, 1 poli-sci person, and 1 media. He was going for a multimedia degree. These people were accused, just accused, and were forced from college, lost their scholarships, and had 0 prospects. Where later it came out that the women accusing them admitted wholeheartedly that they were lying. But these people's lives are still destroyed. These people did not get their scholarships back. They did not get back into college. They have no prospects now because everything they were banking on was destroyed.
That's the whole thing that I've brought up a few times in my videos, is the whole court of public opinion. There needs to be some kind of checks and balance on that, where particularly in such volatile and emotive cases where the accused is kept anonymous until the trial is had.
Exactly. That's how it used to be. That's how it needs to be. Just to protect everyone involved until guilt is actually determined. Because now we have these cases where guilt is assigned way before any evidence is actually brought. Lives are destroyed, and these people who make the false accusations and destroy lives are subject to absolutely no censorship or punishment for their actions. I'm sorry, that does not seem moral to me.
No. It's a very difficult situation because then you come across the free speech thing, and there's a difficult debate to be had there about what constitutes freedom against the damage caused to the people who may have been falsely accused, and that links into a whole load of other discussions related to that exact same issue. Where does freedom coincide and oppose protection?
The way I view it is my personal freedoms end where yours begin. You know, I can say whatever I want, but once I start slandering you, I'm infringing upon your freedom. My freedom ends.
Well,
my personal freedoms end where actual damage begins.
There's definitely an argument to be made for that. I can't speak now. There's definitely an argument to be made for that perspective. However, then we get into a very difficult argument about what constitutes damage.
True. And unfortunately, these are arguments that need
emotional distress can be considered damage.
Yep. And you know, 20 years ago, these weren't arguments that needed to be had because information couldn't be shared as quickly as it is now.
Yeah. By the time it all got around, the case had been had and had already been found guilty or innocent.
But now, you know, within 30 seconds of the accusation being made, it can be viral and known worldwide.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a very difficult situation, and I certainly don't know where the balance is. I don't think anyone does. I think that needs to some people need to have some very serious discussions on it.
Exactly. I mean, it's going to require a complete redo on how we handle the announcement of criminal cases.
Not just the announcement, but also how the cases themselves are tried. And yeah.
Yep. Because, another example that I like to take out of the SJW extreme fringe that I like to speak out against. Any case in which a male is accused of sexual impropriety, the male is immediately guilty and needs to be dragged through the mud and whatever. But we've had at least 2 verified cases in that same time frame where a woman literally at machete point raped a man. And these same SJWs that are condemning any man even accused of it, are now celebrating this woman who admittedly and openly raped a man at machete point. This does not seem equal to me.
Yeah, it's a very, but it's not, and there's a clear bias there, and there's clear biases in several. Well, everyone comes into it with a bias because everyone has their own perspective, but there's definitely a clear inconsistency in that way of looking at things that needs to be addressed.
Yes, when the man accused is demonized and the woman admitting is celebrated, there's something seriously wrong with that outlook.
Yep. All right. I think we should probably wrap this up because I'm going to begin to run out of steam here. I'm going to need to get some food again in a minute.
Oh, I'm starting to get hungry too. Holy shit, we've been at this for over 3 hours.
We have indeed. I am going to do a little plug though, saying that if you're interested, I've generally in my videos I've largely avoided talking about a lot of political issues, and although I get into it a little bit on the Twitter sometimes, I tend to avoid a fair bit of it there.
Agreed. I'm about the same.
To the point where it seems that the only things that I have discussed politically have been certain controversial issues, which has meant that certain people have developed a rather erroneous view of my political views.
Well, you're obviously a left-leaning liberal.
Or am I a far-right Nazi, as certain people have claimed?
No, you're very obviously a left-leaning liberal.
I get it in the neck from both sides. I've been called both an SJW and a Nazi. So, if anyone's interested in finding out where I stand and what I think about things politically speaking, tomorrow evening UK time there will be a video on that subject entitled "Where Do I Stand? The Badger's Political Compass Test."
Oh, I also have a bit of a bone to pick on you with that.
Yeah.
Because over 48-hour premiere announcement?
Well, the video has actually been finished for about a week now.
Yes, but your premiere announcement, 48 hours? That's a little extreme.
I haven't even announced it yet. It's just appeared on the channel.
It's on your thing.
I haven't announced it. I just uploaded it and told it to be ready.
Yes, and I keep clicking on it.
This is the announcement now, less than 24 hours.
I've been clicking on it for 3 days.
Well, stop clicking on it. It's not ready yet.
But it's there and I want to watch it.
It's going up tomorrow. You can watch it. Here's a link.
All right, it better be. You know, as soon as I saw that premiere thing up there, I unsubbed from you.
Ah, you dickhead.
It's all right. I'll resub when we're done streaming.
I wonder what was going on with my count.
Oh, but I am looking forward to that video. I personally will find it very interesting to see how much of my guesstimations of you actually line up to fact.
Well, in this video, I go through the political compass test, and for every question, I carefully consider and explain why I'm picking the option I'm picking. And I think
really
some people may be surprised about where I come out at the end of it.
Now I'm pleased that overall I did manage to nail you as a left-leaning liberal, but I'll be interested on where my personal guesstimations of you vary from your actual views.
And some of my views are not. Some of the questions I can't really answer them entirely accurately because the options available, while it's just agree and disagree, or strongly agree and strongly disagree. So my views on it are more nuanced and complicated than the options allow.
Yeah.
Anyway, so there's the link to the video. It will be announced on Twitter shortly as well. Shall we wrap it up there?
Yeah, it seems like a good wrap-up point.
I think it's about time. Right. Thank you very much for coming, everyone. It's been great joining me. Fucking fuck that sentence up, haven't I? Let's start that again. Thank you very much for joining. It's been great joining me. Yeah. Thank you very much for joining me, Mr. Alucard. Where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter at crimsonfucker.com. Well, I fucked that one up. You can find me on Twitter at the Crimson Fucker. You can find me on YouTube. The Badger has been kind enough to put my link in there. If you can't find me on Twitter, you can find my Twitter through my YouTube. And if you can't find me on YouTube, you can find my YouTube through my Twitter.
I put the Twitter handle in the description as well.
All right. Thank you very much, Badger. You are a scholar and a gentleman.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, my fine fella.
It has been a pleasure conversing with you, and this conversation has been most enjoyable.
If you want to just hang around for a few minutes after, I've got a few things I might just quickly show you. Thank you very much for coming, everyone. This has been great fun chatting with you in the chat there. Let's do this again sometime. Thank you very much. Good night.
Good morning.
Good evening.